Talking to myself again, but it's the only way.
Good evening and welcome to NUFC Matters 5-minute rant, fans forum, 5-minute loving. We're just loving life at the moment, aren't we? My name's Chris Paul and I'm joined by my good friend and co-host. How are
you? Very well. After another fantastic 3 points at the weekend. Just loving life as a Newcastle fan at the moment. I've got to be honest. It is a good time to be a Geordie, that is for sure. And look, let's enjoy it. So why not be a loving? Let's have it as a 5-minute loving. Come on, why not?
Let's just do it. I mean, do you know what, Pete? I've been really looking forward to doing this one tonight because for the first time in however long I can remember, I didn't watch the game live. Because as most of you will know, I was out with the wife, watching Fatal Attraction in Manchester. So that was an interesting one. But yeah, she had a good time, which is the main thing. And I caught up with Match of the Day. So I've seen clips, I've seen obviously things on Twitter. And you know the performance to me looks really good. I mean, the main thing is we got the 3 points and thoroughly deserved as well from what I've heard. But Pete, I want to find out a bit from you, mate, about any highlights or any key things for you from the weekend. One thing I will say, which I was really pleased, it looks like Eddie Howe watched our away days on Loaded. When we were talking about having Ryan Fraser on the left and Jacob Murphy on the right. It looks like he's took heed of those comments. So yeah, that was nice to see.
Always good to see that Eddie's watching the away days. Love it. But look, it's a good question, Chris, about sort of the highlights. I mean, it was one of those fixtures where I could give you probably about 8 or 9 like highlights within the game. There was some really, really sort of, certainly from a Newcastle point of view, some really, really good points. But I would say first and foremost, we started really strong. We were on the front foot. And then the biggest really talking point was the red card, really, which, look, it's a weird one because it's clearly a red card. And I don't understand now how Mike Dean's not seen that from the position that he's at. How he's and you know what's more baffling about it is he actually gave a free kick the other way. He actually gave a free kick to Brentford.
Wow,
like that it just baffles me. It baffles me how he's managed to do that. Anyway, it was unlucky because the ball was played back to Shelby. Shelby, obviously, it just got nicked off his toe. And that, a lot of pundits have said that changed the game. We were on top anyway for that first 10 minutes. We were on top and we were looking strong. And then it then became the Ryan Fraser show. Ryan Fraser just kind of grabbed the game by the scruff of the neck and was just tearing things up. And honestly, look, I'm not just saying this now. You know this, Chris. Anybody that's watched NUFC Matters, particularly the Matchday Lives over the last year, maybe a little bit longer than a year, I've always fought Ryan Fraser's corner every single time.
Yeah, you have.
Even when there's been question marks, even last season, early into last season, when there was talks about his attitude and his application to the team and whether he wanted to be here or not, when all those questions were thrown out, I've always said the same thing. He had 6 months off before he even kicked a ball for Newcastle, where he hadn't trained, he hadn't prepared with the team, no preseason. Then he's working under Steve Bruce. And it was a case of, is it really a bad attitude, or is it Steve Bruce, brucing another player? And look, it's there for everybody to see. You look at his interviews, you look at how happy he is right now, you look at the performances on the pitch. The guy is turning it on, and he's showing the type of form that when at Bournemouth was one of the top assisters alongside Eden Hazard the season before his last at Bournemouth, and actually was linked with 20, 30 plus million pounds moved to the likes of Tottenham and Arsenal. He's producing that type of form again now. He might not be getting all the assists on the board that he was at Bournemouth, but it will soon come. But what he's doing is, it's that heart, it's that endeavour, it's that work rate, it's that constantly giving his fullback a torrid time in a game, always looking attacking, always looking aggressive going forward. He is just proving to be the player that we wanted him to be. And look, we got him on a free transfer. Like, that is crazy. And I'm really pleased to see him performing at the level. So, I'll kind of leave it there, really. It is in a little bit of the Ryan Fraser show. There's obviously other players that have stood out and played very, very well. Honourable shout out to Bruno Guimarães. If anyone's seen that clip that's going around on Twitter, that 1.5, 2 minute clip.
Yeah, seen it.
Honestly, as soon as he came on the pitch, I was just watching him. Like, every move that he made, he's just got such elegance on the ball. I just love the way he plays.
It's exactly that, Pete. I think there's a part. I think it's within the first 30 seconds. I don't know if you've seen it. I'm sure you did. You know the part where he collects the ball and then he does like a pirouette, but the way that he turns and literally goes like 180 in such a quick space of time, and then just feeds the ball off, and you just think, yeah, he oozes class, doesn't he? He absolutely oozes class. And there was a couple of through balls where he just cut the whole defense out, but you can see he keeps it simple, and he just keeps the ball ticking over and gets the team thinking on the front foot. And that's what we've so desperately missed, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, if you look at the video, if anyone's not seen it, check out that video. There's various people that are putting that video out. I don't think, and I could be wrong, but I don't believe that he passes the ball backwards once. Every ball is either to the side or a ball that's getting us in a position to go forward in attacking places. It's either forward passes or to the side that's allowing us to then progress with the next ball. That's what we want. That is an Eddie Howe signing. Eddie Howe is front foot manager. He wants front foot footballers. He has got a front foot footballer in Bruno Guimarães, and I just cannot wait to see him playing more football. But the three Joes are making it very, very difficult for him. Yeah. I've got to be honest, because the three Joes are doing a job at the moment, which is fantastic to see.
Yeah, do you know what, mate? You're absolutely right, and the fact that they're keeping him out the team just speaks volumes, doesn't it? And I know you've touched on a couple of players there. From what I saw, I thought Matty Targett was really good. What the hell was Fabian Schär doing for that assist? I was a bit like Richie, because I watched the review show back of the the match day review on Loaded, and when Richie said that he thought it was Chris Wood, and I must be honest, I thought the exact same thing because of where it was on the pitch. And then when I seen it closer up, I was thinking, that's not Chris Wood, that's Fabian Schär, and he literally just darted forward, didn't he? But it just goes to show what you were touching on then, Pete, about Ryan Fraser. The whole squad absolutely, buzzing to be playing under Eddie Howe. And long may this continue. I mean, obviously there's going to be some bumps in the road. Obviously we're going to maybe not get results when perhaps we deserve to. But the players, they're all fighting for each other. They're all, 110% committed. They're all happy under Eddie Howe, and Eddie Howe's got them playing great football. I mean, I don't know about you, but I was absolutely delighted for Joe Linton to get that goal, and it was some header, by the way, some header. And then he goes running off into the corner to the away fans. It's just amazing, and I'm honestly so delighted for Joe Linton. Like, he really, really deserves this, and he got a lot of stick, and in some cases rightly so, at the start of his career, because we weren't seeing the kind of work rate and the effort. But maybe he was dejected. Maybe, he wasn't getting coached properly. Well, I say maybe, I think that's pretty obvious. But Eddie Howe he's turned around the likes of Joe Linton, the likes of Ryan Fraser, and it's great to see. absolutely great. Even the likes of Dan Burn, Pete, he probably won't get much of a shout out in terms of the performances at the weekend. But again, to me, he looked really, really solid, and you can't ask for more, can you?
No, brilliant on the ball, solid in the air, solid on the ground, just an organizer in that defence. He just epitomizes exactly what we need at this football club. Like I say, he is not the one that everyone's talking about this week, but his performance was very, very good as well. And it's all round. I mean, you talk about Joe Linton. Joe Linton he appreciates that the fans have been patient with him. I think he understands that the fans have been patient with him. The fans have been frustrated for 2 years because they've not seen what they expected to see from a £40 million player. But I think he's equally been frustrated with that as well. I just think at this point in time, he's in a position where he understands where his performances are now making a difference. He's kind of wanting to support that and be with the fans.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, mate. Well, before we move on to our first guest, Pete, I know there was something that you wanted to touch on. So I thought, well, the stage is yours, mate. Go for it.
Yeah, I'm not going to spend long on this, but I just wanted to kind of just put my opinion, should we say, out there. And it's regarding ASM. Now, with ASM, there's been a little bit of stick around. I'm not talking. I need to stress this. I'm not talking about YouTube channels or anything like that. What I'm stressing about is I'm talking about just fans on social media, and it's been going on not just over the weekend. It's been going on for the last week, even 2 weeks since ASM's been injured. Little comments about ASM and certain rumours about ASM, having the wrong attitude and going against kind of Eddie Howe's will and all this rubbish because he's in Monaco. I just, it was made very, very clear in Eddie Howe's press conference that Saint-Maximin was allowed to go to one of the best physio facilities in the world in Monaco. He was allowed to go. So therefore, the club have allowed him to go. So he's not just got up and swanned off to France like people have assumed and just left the rest of the team behind. Players are allowed to do that. And I think it's important that is said. Players are allowed to go abroad to get specialist treatment. Now, I understand as Newcastle fans, we're not accustomed to that because Mike Ashley probably wouldn't pay the fees to go to world-class facilities and have the best sports science and physios and whoever it is looking after our injured players. But we're under no ownership now, and they're looking to give the players the absolute best in order to get them 100% fit as quick as possible. I don't see a problem in that. And that's all out there. Eddie Howe's made that clear. So I don't understand where the negativity about ASM has come from. The stuff about the chamber and stuff like that, I'm not interested in. Okay. I'm interested in the people questioning Saint-Maximin's attitude. Saint-Maximin has had some of the best attitude of a player that I've seen in so many years. This guy loves Newcastle United. He loves the fans. He loves playing for this club. How anyone can question him and have a go at him, I find it really difficult. Obviously, everyone's got their own opinions, and that's absolutely fine. But I find it very difficult for fans to kind of question his attitude about playing for the club. He's given everything. Within a couple of weeks of signing, he was going to the food bank, for God's sake, and donating and putting money in. Like, he gets the club. He understands the club. Whenever he scores, regardless of whether the players come and celebrate with him, the one thing he wants to do when he scores, he wants to share that moment with the fans because he loves the fans. Just like we love and have lauded Joe Linton for celebrating with the fans at the weekend for his goal. Saint-Maximin does that every time he plays. He loves playing for this club. And sometimes we forget that. Sometimes we forget that he's just a guy that, he wants to be the best player he can be. Okay. And he likes to be the match winner and he wants to be that main man. And that's okay. I'm fine with that. But to question his attitude, I find it I find it strange. I really do find it strange. Look, he's gone to get the best treatment he needed. He has shown massive support to the club, to the fans, to the players. You know, you see on his Instagram, he's supporting the players for getting the result. He's backing the players. He can't wait to get back and play, as Eddie Howe said. He will be back doing what Alan Saint-Maximin does best. But the key to it is he'll be doing it 100% fit because we have allowed him to go and get the best treatment possible. And we have to remember that. And I think we need to remember all of the things that have gone on before when we start to point fingers at players. And in particular, I'm talking about ASM because he has done a lot for Newcastle United. You know, he could have slapped down a transfer request and left the club in the summer. And I don't think any of the fans, any of us would have complained. He was quite clearly our best and most influential player. And he still is right now, even though he's injured. He could have quite easily done that, but he wanted to give it another season. He didn't want to fight another relegation battle. Now, we've got new ownership. He's not talked about leaving. He's talked about building at this club and creating at this club. That, for me, shows he's got a perfectly good attitude. Now, people might question on the pitch that he doesn't always track back. Well, neither did David Ginola, and we loved him. Neither did Laurent Robert, and we loved him. Neither did Hassan Ben Arfa, and we loved him. You know, there are players that have been through seasons upon seasons, years upon years, that have been the same way. But we loved them for it. And we understood that they wanted to be the difference maker further forward. And you know what? Most importantly, Eddie Howe gets it. And Eddie Howe has created a style of play with the three in midfield to protect that side of the pitch to ensure that Alan Saint-Maximin can do the business the other end of the pitch. Now, if our manager's okay with that, I'm okay with that. And I think we need to remember that sometimes when we're there pointing the finger. And like I say, I want to stress the point. This is not about what's gone on over the weekend. It's not about anything to do with YouTube channels. This is about what I've seen on social media and certain comments being made from certain people in the fan base. And they are entitled to their opinion. But for me, as a fan and my own opinion, I think we need to remember a hell of a lot of good that's come from Alan Saint-Maximin in the 3 years that he's been at Newcastle United. And we need to remember that, and we need to get behind him because he is going to be a guy at 24 years old that is not even in his prime yet, that's got many, many more years to get better and better. He wants to be at Newcastle and wants to be part of our future. And we need to get behind that. And we need to accept him for his flaws, but also for his hell of a significant qualities as well. So I just wanted to make that point to start the show.
I think you made a really good point, Pete. And the big takeaway for me as well, Pete, forgetting Saint-Maximin just for the moment, is that as a fan base, you know, we've got to put things like that to one side. We're on a fantastic run, and for me, it's not about trying to not create negativity. I know people don't purposely do that, but I think sometimes as Newcastle fans, and you can understand why in the last 14, 15 years, we come up with like conspiracy theories and, oh, this might be happening, or that could be happening. And at the end of the day, Saint-Maximin's gone to France. Obviously, Eddie Howe knows about it because he's briefly touched on it. People, you know, talking about how he appeared in an interview and like his eyes were rolling and stuff like that. And at the end of the day, I think we've just got to focus on the team, on the pitch. That's what we need to focus on at the moment. Alan Saint-Maximin is not available for selection, and we don't know the reasons behind that. But you're quite right in what you say. There's no reason for us to doubt Alan Saint-Maximin. And let's be honest, Pete. If we're being honest about it, I mean, he's not indicated that he wants to leave or that there's anything wrong. But why would he want to leave? Let's look at it from that point of view. Would he be absolutely crazy to leave? The fans adore him. The manager is a big fan of him. We're winning football matches, and next season we're going to be bringing in even better players than what we've got now. Why would Saint-Maximin want to leave?
Well, you've absolutely hit the nail on the head, Chris, and I 100% agree with you. The only reason he wanted to leave or considered leaving in the summer, or considered leaving at the end of this season, if we still had the old ownership, is because he wants to go to the World Cup, or he certainly wants to break into the France squad. But he needs to be at a team that's pushing in the right end of the table in order to catch the eye of Didier Deschamps, in order to get into that team. Fully understand that. And you know what? He doesn't deserve to be at a team that's languishing at the bottom of the league, fighting relegation every year. I get it. I completely understand that. But his attitude to being at this club long term has completely changed once the takeover came into fruition. He's talking about building the future here. And you've gone and made an absolute great point. He would have seen the likes of Ginola and the likes of Laurent Robert and the likes of Ben Arthur, that once they left the club, they never were loved in the same way like Newcastle fans loved those individual players. He would see that and he would know that. And he would know that he wouldn't necessarily be loved in the same way that we love him. And he wouldn't necessarily, to a certain extent, get away with the things that he gets away with the tracking back and stuff, or the clubs. We can compensate for that, and we can work around his flaws to make him a better player. So he's in the perfect place to deliver and benefit and build his own career with us. And he can see now, with the money that's being invested and the plan and the project that's in place with our new owners, that there's no better place now in European football for him to develop his skills and develop his career at 24 years old. There is no better place. He will know that at Newcastle United, 1, the fans love him. 2, when fit, 100% fit, he plays every week. And 3, by playing every week, he's able to develop his own game to make himself better whilst taking Newcastle right up the table. It is the perfect place to develop his career right now. There is no better place. He knows that. We know that deep down, but we need to get behind him. The last thing we want to be doing is questioning him and tagging him into things on social media that are negative, because we want him 100% focused on Newcastle, 100% happy. Because if you've got a 100% focused ASM and a 100% happy ASM, you're going to get the absolute best of what you've seen against the likes of Everton and the likes of Aston Villa. Okay, you're going to get those type of performances week in, week out. And we've already seen his fitness is improved this season. He's playing more 90 minutes at explosive speeds. He is improving as a player. Okay, this is one of his first injuries this season. Okay, and it's going in the right direction with ASM, but we need to get behind it.
Yeah. And do you know what? The good thing is about this injury that he's picked up is it very much sounds precautionary. So it's a case of let's get him right. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to risk him. By the sounds of it, he may have been able to play in the last game, but would he be 100% fit? We know that we've needed him over the last few weeks, and we've probably been bandaging him up and, maybe 70, 80%. And then you never know. Maybe Eddie Howe's gone to him. Do you know what? Go and get yourself right. We can handle things from here. Go and get yourself right. And then let's have you back for, the running when we could potentially really need you.
Yeah. Great management. And what that does, it shows confidence in the players that are going to take his place, like Jacob Murphy. His confidence is soaring. And I'm sure we'll get onto this, but that's just quality management, quality man management of players. Saying, ASM, get yourself 100% fit. We need you. We want you. We need you at your absolute best. He'll be saying that to ASM, but equally we'll be saying, right, ASM's not in, but I trust you, Jacob Murphy, to come in and do a job for the team. I trust you, Emil Kraft, that Trippier's not fit and Mankilio's not 100% fit, but I trust you to go in and do a job for us at the weekend. And you know what? Regardless of what we think about those players, they both did.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, do you know what, Pete? I think that was very well said. And as Andy Davis has just said, absolutely spot on. And I do agree with Andy there. And do you know what, Pete? I know we don't normally do this, but I'm sorry, mate. You're definitely going to deserve one of these. And there you are, Pete. That's a first for the show. Right, okay, let's get our first guest on, and thank you to all the guests who are waiting patiently in the green room. Really appreciate it. Let's get our first man on, regular face. Big welcome to Alan. How you doing, Alan?
Great, lads. Fantastic. Well said, Pete. Well said about the ACM. I remember trying to cut it short. Is Jeff waiting, Pete? Chris?
Is
Jeff waiting?
Yes.
Okay. Did you stay up till 11 o'clock? He's got a long wait. I've got a few things to say. But anyway, Pete, you're right. I remember 1995, Pete. There was one lad saying, I'm stopping going to Newcastle because I'm sick of winning. We'd won 15 games in a row. So what I'm trying to say is, lads, you'll never get everybody on the same page. Never in a million years. And it's the same with every team's performance. There'll always be one or two players that will probably not be as good as the rest. and people will say, well, he wasn't good today and he wasn't good, but they still won the game. It's all about winning games, like you said, Chris. It is. It's all about winning games.
Yeah,
and if the team's gelling together, like everybody, a lot of people are saying Wood's playing rubbish. He's desperate for a goal and he's snatching at his chances, lads, in my opinion. He had a couple of chances where he should have buried it. I'm not denying it. He should have buried it, but he's snatching at it. He's so desperate. He just needs to calm down and get his first goal, and he'll get more. That's what I'd say about Wood. I don't know if people realise, lads, we're on 25 points at this stage last year, and how different it feels under Steve Bruce and his marvellous run of 2 wins in 21 games. We're halfway through it, and we've got 25 points at exactly the same stage of the season as we have now.
Know that.
So, and the best comment I heard, lads, and everybody in the chat was when Eddie Howe says, I'm not complacent, because I don't know if you know, after Brighton, we might have 4 games away in a row if Crystal Palace get through to the next quarter-final. So, it's going to be tough. We've got to not be complacent. And this is why this Brighton game is so important for me. It's a bogey team. We've never beaten them since we came up 5 years ago, lads, in the Premier League. We've drew, and we've got beat off them heavily last year, 3-0, 3-0. We've got a draw down there earlier in the season, which we're pretty lucky to get, but we're happy to get. So, to be honest, it's going well. Great team performance by everybody, and I've got to admit, Fraser was outstanding, absolutely outstanding. And Kraft wasn't the worst. He was much more improved than he was against West Ham. And I totally agree with your point, Pete, about, 6 months ago, lads, we were saying, which players has Bruce improved? Now you've got to answer, which player is how not improved? Which player
you'd struggle to find one, Alan. You'd struggle to find one. I mean, I'd say everybody's up the game since he's come in, and it's been a massive plus, hasn't it? I mean, the levels that some of them have gone up to. I mean, you just forget everywhere else, but just look at that midfield three. Midfield three alone. I mean, Eddie Howe said, didn't he? Was it last week that our midfield is now our strongest place on the pitch? Midfield is where we win football matches, and whoever would have thought we'd say that. Yeah,
I mean, there's been a couple of comments like after the game about Joe Linton. What can I say? I was in that camp, lads.
Yeah,
4 months ago, I would have sold him in a jumble sale. I've said it before. Now it's absolutely unreal. Midfield player, and now scoring that goal, I couldn't have been happier for the lad. There's been a couple of comments on some of the other podcasts. If he could only score a few goals, he'd be the perfect midfield player. And he's got one on Saturday, and I was over the moon for him. I really was.
Yeah.
So long may it continue. I mean, the Joe Willock goal, I was happy for him as well, scoring that goal. And now it's coming out about him, being homesick and not playing well. He was pre-season. He didn't have a good pre-season from Arsenal. And I think a lot of people have got to realise he come from London and Arsenal, which he adored as a kid. And then he's been rejected and he's been told you can go. It takes a lot out of you. And then to be stuck in Northumberland on your own, and he's on his own, no friends. I think people have got to realise he's only 21, 22. He's a young lad.
Yeah.
And he's had an injury, 2 injury, and he's getting back. And the last 3 or 4 games, he's getting back to what he was, and he's looking really good. I'm so pleased for the lad. Again, so may it continue.
Do you know what, Alan? I've got to chip in there as well. I was one of the people who was very critical of Joe Willock a few weeks back, and I was questioning whether he had a future at the club because I saw obviously the back end of last season he was absolutely fantastic, and then we went back to Arsenal, and then he's come back to Newcastle on a permanent deal, and we just weren't seeing the same Joe Willock, and I must admit I was worried. I was really, really worried. But we're seeing now much improved in performances. We're seeing him back with a smile on his face, which more importantly is where you see that your players are happy and they want to be playing. And long may it continue, because he credit where credit's due. He's been absolutely great, and that is why he's in the 11, and that's why the likes of Bruno Guimarães isn't getting a look in, because he's been so good.
I must admit, Bruno, I watched the game at 3:30 in the morning, lads, on Sky Sports. I didn't watch it live, so I watched the whole game at 3:30 in the morning. And Guimarães, Pete, honestly, one of the balls, Chris, that he laid through, we've been needing that from midfield for years.
Yeah, I've seen it on that little video. Yeah, it's
Split the
fantastic.
pass. Fraser got fouled on the edge of the box.
Yeah.
And that was a sublime pass, and I thought, no, we've got a player in there. He looked pure class. And we're good friends. Paul Merson done his best to get with Pete on Saturday, lads, on Soccer AM. He's trying his utmost to say that it wasn't a sending off. And, you know, the lad, use your common sense. Oh, he's going to get sent off. Oh, he shouldn't be sent off for that. And thankfully, Jeff Stellenpurry's in his place and said, it's a sending off. He was doing his best. And even in the second half, lads, he was trying his best for Brentford to come back. And it stuck in his throat that we won the game. So I was more pleased than ever that we won. So basically, lads, long may it continue. I don't want any let up. And another point, the more higher up we go, lads, surely it's going to attract better players in the summer.
Yeah, it will.
You know,
it will.
You know, people might think, oh, it doesn't matter if we finish 13, 14, 12. It does. It really, really does for the summer. And then players like Botman, for say, might say, hey, this is going to take off. It really does matter. I mean, I'll accept 17th. I've always said it. To survive this season would be a hell of an achievement from where we've come from. But, you know, at the end of the day, Howe and his staff need all the plaudits going, because to win 4 games out of the last 5 and the run we've been on, I mean, you know, like only 3-4 goals they're in the last seven games. Again, it's everything is. And to be honest, the last 2 away games, my heart rate hasn't went up that much because we've been so organised. I felt confident, lads, going into the games now.
It's like the West Ham game, Alan. I mean, obviously, I can't comment on the last game because I didn't watch it live. But it's like the West Ham game. Even when we were at 1-0 down, I just thought we'll be all right here. It's a different mentality, isn't it? And you think we're still in this, and you know you can tell that the players' heads don't go down. I mean, you remember under Bruce, as soon as it went 1-0, everyone was just like, "Well, that's game over. It's done." It was so demoralising, and now we're just seeing a team that believe in themselves and believe in each other, and it's so refreshing. And I actually can't wait every weekend for the match. Don't get me wrong, even when we were really bad, I always look forward to the match. But now it's like a different excitement. It's like we could get something today, and I don't care who we play. I genuinely don't care who we play. I always think we could do something today.
And the point by Mark Pearson there, he says Willock is now fit. Something none of the squad were when Howe took over. Obviously, Callum Wilson on his football podcast mentioned a few weeks ago that he was clear that he didn't feel the players were fit when they were talking about the West Ham game at the first game of the season. These players look fit now, and the key to that, I'd be interested in your thoughts in this, is that the key to that is that I think personally, every game we go into, we now actually look fitter than the opposition. And we can outwork the opposition because we're fitter than them. And that for me is what Eddie Howe is. But I don't know what your
look at the possession stats, Pete. The possession stats speak it all.
We
no longer sit back.
Told you. I said with Guimarães coming in and the way in which Eddie Howe wants to play, I said don't be surprised to see our possession stats go up. And obviously we're against 10 men, so it is kind of screwed slightly in our favour because we were playing against 10 men. But you look at the previous games, our possession stats were good then. So we're going in the right direction.
But at least matching teams, Pete. We're at least matching them. I mean, I think it was West Ham or Villa. I think we were 55, 53,
53 against Villa, Chris.
53.
63 against Brentford this week. It's amazing, really. I mean, I have to say again, lads, I try and get it right this week, sorry. Taggart. He was fantastic. Yeah. He was saying I'm in the crime show, I'm in the Scottish. I'm looking at it, I'm trying. That's That's me.
He was no. It's great to raise that point, mate.
Yes,
And do you know what? He had that horrible tackle put on him.
Yeah.
And by the way, I don't. I agree with what Pete said in the match review after the game. I don't think it was malicious. I think it was just poorly timed, and I think Matt Targett was very, very lucky that he didn't get a more serious injury. But I don't think there was any malice from the player. But to have a challenge like that on you and then still perform the way he did, Matt Targett in many ways, and this might be a bit controversial, but in many ways, aside from Kieran Trippier, because I think he's up there, but in many ways, he's probably like my favourite signing that we've made because it's just the way he's just slotted in there and he's just churning out performance after performance. And he's one of those players who can probably go under the radar and is probably, under, what's the word I'm looking for? Like underrated, where people don't tend to talk about him very much, but you don't you don't want to be talking about your defenders very much. You just want them to do the job, keep the the defense solid, and get through the game and make your strikers win you the football matches. And Matty Targett's just come in effortlessly, and as I said this, didn't I, Pete? After the first couple of performances, he looks like he's played for us for about 3 or 4 years. He really does. He's just slotted in.
I know. I can't say enough about the team at the minute, lads. We're all like really happy the way things are going. But long may it continue. But I'm looking for 3 points against Brighton for the first game in 5 years.
Why not?
Lads. We've got to keep going. And then obviously the March fixtures are going to be really tough. I'm really looking forward to Everton, like Chris, down there at Goodison Park. It's going to be a hell of a show. But we will have slip-ups, lads, and maybe Everton away, but long may it continue.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm rabbiting on, lads. I'll let you go. Let Jeff on for a short spell. Let him on.
He's itching to get on. Itching.
He is. But listen, Alan, as always, mate, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on. Thank you for taking your time. Yeah, we got Tony waiting too.
The town winning.
And I'm going to give you one of these.
Cheers, lads.
Thank you very much, Alan. Really appreciate it, mate.
No.
You take care.
Yeah.
Good.
By the way, everybody watching, we've got 298 people watching. So listen, thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to hit that like button. And if you're not already subscribed, please just press that subscribe button. We'd really appreciate it. I just wanted to add, and you've probably noticed this over the last few weeks, but this is something that me and Pete are going to start doing on a more regular basis. If your comment hasn't come up on screen, there's a good reason. And that's because, we want to talk about it more. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and get all the guests in. Hear from the guests. Obviously they come on and they say some fantastic things and it's always a good topic of discussion, and then at the end we go through all the questions and comments that we really want to touch upon. So just to let you know, we haven't forgotten about you. We will get round to it, and we look forward to discussing it more. So Pete, should we go for us? Oh, sorry, go on, mate, go on.
Just before we get our next guest on, I just wanted to ask your opinion on this. So Colin Wilson put this in, and I starred it. So it says Paul Merson has an agenda. I'm sure of it. Now, obviously, you were busy with the other half at the weekend, celebrating. So you might not have missed this. But for anyone in the chat and for anyone that's in the green room, you may have seen on Gillette Soccer Saturday. Now, I don't watch Gillette Soccer Saturday a lot. I've said it before on here that I don't like watching Sky Sports because I just think their pundits are just not very good. And I'm not really a big fan of Jeff Stelling either because I don't think he's very supportive of our club either. He has been in the past on odd occasions, but in general he is not. And Paul Merson was commenting on our game. He had our game, and I made a point after the game and put his Soccer Saturday on, listening to his review, and his review was an absolute disgrace in the way in which he talked about Newcastle. It was kind of, it was so like downbeat. You could tell the way he was talking. Everything was through gritted teeth when he had to be positive about Newcastle, and you could tell he was so downbeat because you could just tell he really wanted Brentford to win, and he was kind of justifying every decision, every little thing. And at one point he said, bearing in mind we were tuning up at the time, if the ball had just bounced the right way, it could have gone in. It could have been very, very different. And it's just like, hold on a second. We could have said that about the 15 chances that we had in the game. It could have been 7-0 if the ball had just bounced the other way. And it's just like the punditry on Sky Sports is an absolute joke for Soccer Saturday. And I didn't know if you saw it, Chris, or you managed to see any clips of it at all.
No, I think I'm gonna have to watch it, aren't I? Because not that I'm saying I'm surprised. I'm not surprised. It's something that we've come to accept now, really, as a fan base, haven't we? But I tell you what, I am interested in, Pete, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on this. Do you think possibly as early as next season, or it might be the season after, do you think pundits will soon turn around? And the reason I asked that question is because, and again, correct me if I'm wrong here, but have you noticed just after the takeover, and I'm going to mention his name, it's Trevor Sinclair on TalkSport. Yeah. Just after the takeover, Trevor Sinclair was on the same bandwagon as everybody else, slagging us off at every opportunity, calling us out. And then if you remember, he had a bit of a row, didn't he, with Simon Jordan on TalkSport. And then he realised that all Newcastle fans were, oh, yeah, it's great. Yeah, it's right, Trevor, blah, blah, blah. And to be fair, he did defend us, and that was really great. Yeah. But now he's just, all he does is talk positively about Newcastle. And it just makes me wonder whether certain pundits are going to pick up on this and think, you know what, I want to be a part of this journey. I want to get on board with this. And it made me wonder, do you think that these pundits might have an agenda, and then they might be thinking, as Colin said, they might turn and think, do you know what, I need to be pro Newcastle here, and then the likes of Sky, the likes of BT Sport might try and get me on as like a pro Newcastle person? Because I mean, even the other day, Pete, when I was watching, it was on BT Sport, I forget which match it was, and it was a Newcastle match, and Jermaine Genius was in the studio as the Newcastle guy. And the lady who was the reporter was like, oh, yeah, how do you think your lads performed, or something along those lines? And he was accepting the we and the you, like your team. And he was talking about Newcastle like he's been a Newcastle fan his whole life. And you're like, hang on a minute. Up until, before this takeover, you didn't want any association with us. You didn't want anything to do with us. And you couldn't wait to get out of Newcastle, calling it a goldfish bowl, as he famously did. What's your thoughts on that?
You're absolutely right. And you had the two people that I had in mind when you were talking about initially was Trevor Sinclair from TalkSport, because you're absolutely right, and the other one was Jermaine Genius. And you are absolutely spot on. Now, Jermaine Genius isn't even kind of introduced as an ex-Newcastle player. He's talked about as an ex-Tottenham player. Whereas the baffling thing is he played his best football for Newcastle, and we plucked him out of the Championship.
We got him in England. We got him in the England squad.
Yeah. His best run of his whole career was playing for Newcastle United, but he didn't want to acknowledge it whatsoever. But I wouldn't be surprised in the next couple of years that he's on BT Sport and he's being introduced as ex-Newcastle United player, and he will be. And look, these guys are not stupid. They know they need to find a way of keeping themselves in the limelight. The two interesting ones for me more recently that have been quite positive about Newcastle, that haven't been positive about Newcastle at all in recent years. One is Tim Sherwood. He's another one on Sky. Not all the time, but he's been when you can tell someone's been more positive about your club compared to previous times. Tim Sherwood's one of them, and the other one was actually Rio Ferdinand.
He's changed his tune, hasn't he? Yeah, he's changed his tune, saying, "Oh, great fan base," and when they get the players in, they're going to be fantastic and all that. But we will not forget, the dark times under Mike Ashley when he was saying that we should be grateful and we should be thankful. All that's a distant memory now. It made me think, actually, I wonder whether this contract with Mike Ashley's ran out. Just made me wonder.
You're not surprised. I'm not surprised, and you're probably right. It probably has. But this is the thing: is that like these pundits think that they can say one comment one week and it just disappears and it doesn't mean anything. We have held on to 14 years of absolute tripe that have been thrown our way with comments and negativity. Newcastle fans don't forget. Okay, we may forgive, and we are a very forgiving fan base at times, but we never ever forget. And those guys, no matter what they say about Newcastle, whether they're positive or not, we will never ever forget. Jake Humphries, never forget, because when the chips were down, he backed us from day one on BT Sport, week in and week out. Jake Humphries, we will never forget. Massive, massive respect to guys like him that didn't have to support us, didn't have to back us, but did. But people like Rio Ferdinand, Tim Sherwood, Jermaine Genius, one or two others, Paul Merson. Paul Merson will be showering us with gifts and positivities in the next few years, and I ain't interested in anything he's got to say because he don't know what he's talking about half the time, and he just does it to get a reaction. But yeah, I just wanted to get your thoughts on that that initial point. Dunhill says Colin Merson's definitely got some against his replying to comment Colin's point of view. And then there was Sir Monkey Suit. Do you know those people who act like they hate you, but they love you really? I think Paul Merson is head over heels. And you know what? That's what it's down to. It's down to jealousy. These guys initially, Rio Ferdinand, Jermaine Genius, Paul Merson, they want us relegated. They don't want Newcastle United being successful. Why? It's because those guys have either been so negative about us as an ex-player like Jermaine Genius, or they don't want us to be successful because they've not been attached to us. Rio Ferdinand's an ex-Leeds, an ex-West Ham, an ex-Man United. He's not anything associated with Newcastle. Paul Merson's ex-Villa, ex-Arsenal, like ex-Middlesbrough. He's not Newcastle related. So these guys have got no in with Newcastle. They've got no kind of in with us because they've not been associated with us whatsoever. And they know that people like, and fingers crossed he gets better, people like Kieran Dyer that have been positive about us. Yes, negative at times, but positive. And Rob Lee, for example, that's been on Sky Sports before. People like that are going to start getting the limelight, going to start being asked to come in. Because they're ex-Newcastle, they know Newcastle and they appreciate Newcastle. Those guys are going to be the guys that are going to be in, and they know it. They know they're going to get shipped out at some point.
And just to talk about those three players, Pete, predominantly Rio Ferdinand, Man United, Paul Merson, Arsenal, Jermaine Genius, Tottenham, without being disrespectful, their clubs are only going that way.
Yeah.
And they know it. They know it.
Rio Ferdinand's scared right now. Rio Ferdinand's scared, right? They're scared. I talk to Man U fans all the time. They are genuinely worried about Newcastle United. I spoke to a couple of guys at work today. One of them's a Liverpool fan. One of them's a Tottenham fan. They are genuinely worried about Newcastle United. They were celebrating the League Cup, the Liverpool fans that I spoke to today, but equally they were saying, you guys are coming up the table. You guys are going to be with us soon. And they're worried because why? Yeah. We've got financial backing to wipe those guys apart, to move those guys aside. You know, we've got the firepower. And then when we get into Europe and we get our fingers crossed in the Champions League in years to come, we will have then the fact that we're playing European football with the attraction, the stadium.
We'll have the training facilities by then. The fans will be buzzing. The stadium could be bigger. We could attract anyone we want. Anyone.
And that's what they're worried about. They are genuinely scared that we are going to be a big, big powerhouse. And you know what? They're right to be scared.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Pete, I'm going to move on to our next guest because we've got another 4 guests waiting. So we're going to have to move as quick as we can with these guests because I want to make sure everyone has their say. And obviously, we've got some really interesting questions in the chat that I want to try and get through. So massive welcome to Jeff. How are we, Jeff?
We're all right, mate. How you doing?
I'm good.
Cheers,
Jeff. I loved the headboard chat through the week.
All right,
loved it.
Well, it's going well in Canal Number 5 land.
I love your backing, by the way. Just to start it off. Massive support to Ukraine.
Well, somebody ought to say something. Where do you want to start? Hey. Let's talk about Fraser, hey? Why not? I wrote his name down 11 times. I went through it, thought, everything. Pressing, crossing, running. He was just tremendous, wasn't he? Target and Burns, goes without saying, they're also very good. Kraft. There was a point where somebody said, "Oh, he was too strong for so and so." Wow. Again, he was taking advanced positions, going up the field, doing exciting things, cross-field balls, long throws, eh? Nice long throws. Some of they worked actually, which is unusual. Shelvey, 74 minutes before he made his first mistake. Right. First time I saw him misplace a pass was 74 minutes. It was just obviously a bad thing. Shah, how progressive is he? Fantastic.
Love Fabian Shah.
Breaking up the field, cross-field balls over to Fraser. Fantastic shot. Wood, again, pivotal, really. He's there, taking balls from Dubravka, taking balls from Shah, taking balls from all over the place. I don't mind he hasn't scored. He had a good go. That header down into did the right thing down at the ground, but never mind. And I like Dubravka got done for time wasting. There's some good yeah.
Shithousery, that's what it is. Shithousery.
Yeah. Well, Christian Eriksen came on and he did actually. He put a nice sort of cross shot across the box at one stage, and then there was 4 minutes of messing about. But nothing happened for 4 minutes. I thought, well done, lads. So, and of course, you could hear the fans singing away all the way through. The only time you couldn't hear them was when Eriksen came on. For it was about 30 seconds, you could hardly hear the fans because the Brentford fans got out of their seats for some reason. So, what do you think of the patterns of play there, Pete? How do you feel about the patterns of play? Where we're going?
We are playing a style of football that we haven't seen for a long time at Newcastle. And you know what I love about Newcastle, and I was at the West Ham game and I was watching it and I was really impressed the way in which we keep the ball. There's no panic on the ball in this team anymore. There's no there's someone pressing me, I'm just going to hoof it long and hope that it finds somebody. There is an understanding and a kind of a view to everything that we're doing, the way we shift the ball. So I'll go back to West Ham, and we did it again, particularly in the second half against Brentford, is that if a player's not pressing them, if the forward player's not pressing the defence with Dan Burn and Fabian Shaw, they're just quite happy keeping the ball. And they'll just knock it between themselves, and they'll play it out to Taggart, and they'll play it back into Shaw, and they'll play it out to Kraft or Mankili or whoever it is, and they'll just keep the ball. Play it back to Dubravka. Dubravka seems more confident on the ball. Why? Because he's got two competent centre-backs that are confident on the ball in front of him. So he looks a better player. There's just confidence on the ball, and it's a style of play. Keep the ball ticking over. The gaps will appear. Let's keep the ball ticking over. And you know what? The best teams do that. The best teams just keep possession. Just keep possession. Say, you know what?
Wait for that moment.
Yeah. If you want the ball, come and get it. And then what we've got now is that we've got players that could unlock defences. Bruno Guimarães, John Joe Shelvey's playing very well. Ryan Fraser is playing very well. We've got players now going forward. Joe Willock, but you know what I love about it as well. So we've got a possession style of play and a pattern of play of keeping the ball side to side, keeping it moving. What I love about this as well is when we lose the ball, we've got almost the kind of Barcelona type mentality. Barcelona in their tiki-taka days, where they lose the ball and they've got a pack of 3 players around them, and bang, they want the ball back. And we've got players that will run, press, and kind of, like literally bully players to get that ball back. Even Kraft was doing it in the first half of the game.
Yeah.
We lost the ball and he just was big and strong, bang, sent his player to the ground, held his ground, won the ball, gave the possession back to the midfielders. Right, midfielders, go and do your job. We have a fantastic pattern of playing and understanding of what we need to do. I absolutely love it. Love it.
Yeah. Well, one thing I've noticed is that we're starting to work very well in triangles. When we're attacking, we're moving in triangles. There's always 3 people moving in a triangle. Going up one side, you had Willock, Murphy, and Kraft, and occasionally Shah joining in. And of course, Shelvey's always available in the middle. And Joe Linton, Fraser, and Taggart were pretty amazing up that side, because most of the action was coming in from that side, to be honest. It was tremendously, very exciting. Tappy-lappy football, because I was talking about counter-attacking football last week, but no, that's attacking football. Right? We're no longer attacking them. We're dragging them, we're dragging them onto us, and every opportunity we swap sides. soon as it went one side, we swapped sides and went up the other way. It was such an intelligent way of playing. We were pulling them around, pushing them out. You know, it was a shame they went down to 10 men in a sense. But I think that sorted Mike Dean out, actually. Right? I think he had a much better game for having sent somebody off, because he stole his thunder a bit, and he sort of behaved himself after that. What else? Not much else to say, although, 63%. One thing I did notice, 26 shots, 11 on target against their 6, 1 on target. Now, we had 6 corners each. What would you observe from the fact we both had 6 corners?
I'll be honest, it didn't seem like they had 6 corners.
No. Well, the thing is, we're not playing for corners anymore. We're not rushing off into a corner and trying to get a corner. We're attacking as a team. There isn't just one isolated guy up the field trying to hoof the ball off a defender to get a corner. So we're not actually sort of playing for corners anymore. And the corners we do get are normally sort of deflected shots and things, which is nice.
For them, that was probably the only way they were going to score. They weren't going to score open play. So the only way it was a bit like West Ham as well. The only way they were going to score is from that.
Yeah. Well, I thought they were being quite competitive actually in midfield. I thought they gave it a reasonable game in the circumstances. Because they kept it to 2. It's not that we didn't have a lot of trying, but yeah, I was very impressed. And I think going back to the negativity and all this stuff about Joe Linton, not Joe Linton, what am I talking about? Alan Saint-Maximin, which you were talking about, and Joe Linton for that matter. What is his upper body strength is something now, isn't it? Oh,
yeah.
He's been doing some weights.
He travels so well with the ball, Jeff. I think, and he's
because in the Premiership, there's some really big units in midfield, and he seems to be able to deal with all of them now.
Yeah.
And in terms of Saint-Maximin, he will develop as a player, right? I mean, he knows he's got, we know what's wrong with him. He knows what's wrong with him, right? He over elaborates. He doesn't, doesn't always aware of his teammates, and his passing's not as good as it should be, not quite as good. And he'll get the upper body strength, but we were saying the other week about him getting kicked all the time. He's going to get injuries if people keep kicking him. It's really not nice. But we're just going to have to learn to trust. It's such a strange thing, trusting the manager. Just, the guy knows what he's doing. He's proved it now. And there are elements in the fan base who are determined to be negative. It's almost a way of life. I don't know if they do it if they're not really fans, or it's just a sort of conditioned thing that they're always looking for the negative. Come out the game, well, Woods wasn't very good, was he? Or, so-and-so didn't score, or we only got 2. And it's strange. But you can see it in the chat, to be quite honest. You see people come along and all they ever knock out is little digs at people. And, well, Alan Saint-Maximin doesn't try very well. Or whatever. All these players will improve. And as you say, he wants to play for France. Surely he wants to play for France.
Yeah.
And with Eddie behind him, and if he's, showing that he can work very constructively as a team player, which is the thing he has to do next, as it were, is to fit in with the patterns of play and be constructive and learn to tackle back. You can't just say, oh, he doesn't have to tackle back. Yes, he does. Eddie won't let him play if he doesn't, fulfill his pressing or his defensive duties. And I always think that some of the best strikers we've had have been our best defenders. I mean, who was better at heading away at the near post than Big Al? I mean, he got more headers away per match than goals any day. He was always there knocking them out.
He set the standard for that, because before Alan Shearer in the Premier League, there was no striker that really did that on a regular basis. Alan Shearer set the standard for that. Then you had the likes of Didier Drogba doing it. Then you had the likes of other strikers moving forward that were doing the same. Like even people like Ibrahimovic later on at Man United were doing the same. They have it doing the habit doing that now, and Joe Linton's doing it now for Newcastle. On that front post winning the headers. Like it's the way in which I could go on. This is a completely different conversation. I mean, but Alan Shearer, the way he is underrated by so many non-Newcastle fans, I think it's a travesty. It's an absolute joke. He was the trendsetter for so many things at Newcastle United and Premier League football, and that was just one of them.
Yeah. Well, one final point then about the negativity. I think Rio and the rest of the gold bog aristocracy from Man U have been basically living off the reputation of one particular manager, for a better word. They're all going to have to adjust, aren't they? But the other great thing is we don't have to worry about these other teams anymore, right? You know, they may beat us. We may beat them. Doesn't really matter. I don't think there's any chance of us going down. And next season there'll be a whole different ball game, and we can stop worrying about them. You know, I don't care who they're going to put up against us, or how many points they've got, or we've never won in Brighton this century, or whatever it is. You know, these records are made to be broken. There was a time we never scored from corners. We never won in London, full stop. You know, but yeah, it's going to be good. Enjoy the journey, that's what I say.
Yeah.
Enjoy
Absolutely.
the ride, because every week there's something interesting to watch, isn't there? There's something interesting going on. You can see somebody's improved, somebody's learned something, and you can see them working as a team. It's fantastic. We're a very, very lucky group of fans that we're going to have to be able to watch this. You know, that's whoa.
I know what you're going to say, Pete. You're going
Go
to
on
talk
then, say
about
it,
that.
Pete.
What do you think I'm going to say about that?
You're going to talk about that article with George Corkin, aren't you?
No, I'm not.
No, but you're not.
No.
When Jeff said about us being a lucky set of fans, that was just how I felt when I read that big. You know, I think you posted it on our WhatsApp group.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
No. I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's definitely got me thinking that. But it's a really good point there. And I mean, I don't know what your guys' opinions are, Paul Pogba, but I'll just kind of say.
Oh, sorry, this one, yeah.
Yeah. I'm just going to say my own opinion on it. Is that Joe Linton is what people claim Paul Pogba is. Now, I have to say, Paul Pogba is a supremely talented midfielder, in my opinion. I think he's a very, very good midfielder. I actually think Paul Pogba, even in the Premier League, would completely transform any other team apart from Man United right now. Man United take big star players and destroy them. They are just in such a downward trajectory. Like, we cannot judge a player by how they're performing at Manchester United. Now, I'm not saying he's going to come to us, and he wouldn't, because I just don't think he would. He's Champions League football. He wants to win big titles. But I think if Paul Pogba came into this team and played in this team, in our setup, I think he would transform our midfield, and he would take us up to the league. That's just my opinion. I think he's a supremely talented player. And I think him and Joe Linton would actually work really, really well together.
Yeah,
I really do.
They would. If you could merge those two players, where you've got Paul Pogba, who in that final third has got that killer pass or that great shot, and he sees things that other players don't see, mixed in with the work rate, the endeavour, the power, the strength of Joe Linton. Imagine merging them two or having them playing alongside each other.
How old's Pogba?
I think
How
he's
old is he
28.
now? 28
Yeah, he's approaching 30, isn't he?
Well, on the subject of which, you know, Ronaldo sold his flat in Trump Tower. So, well, he's trying to anyway. Things are going down for him.
Yeah, I think he's on his way out.
Well, at least Chelsea's got themselves sorted out with this Ukrainian business, because the politics of this is going to be rattling on for a while. I think. Manchester City are in an interesting position. The UAE are a bit wishy-washy about that. But I thought we should have got Fulham to take Chelsea out from the west. If you look at it strategically, Fulham is just to the west, and they could have attacked from the rear and taken over Chelsea. I mean, can you imagine having the cottagers coming up from the rear? It'd be really difficult for them. But anyway, Abramovich has sorted that out for himself. He's done the decent thing and you know, dropped his kecks and run away. Good man.
But
Anyway,
Jeff,
on that healthy note,
Jeff, what do you think is the future? Not that we even care, but like, what do you think the future could be now for Chelsea? Now Abramovich is kind of giving it, or sort of semi giving it over to the foundation. You know, if he doesn't put his money in, like, what is the future of Chelsea?
Well, I think they're going to have to consolidate in some way, because they've got vast resources. They've got players all over the place. I think they're going to have to sort of rationalise a bit and probably scale back the operation realistically. because it's been relying on a lot of cash coming in. I don't think they can sustain that. And rather depends how well they do this year, and they've not had a good start, really.
Who would
Maybe
you,
Abramovich wants out anyway. You never know.
Who would you if they have to scale, if Chelsea have to scale back? And this is a question for Chris as well. If Chelsea have to scale back their operation because Abramovich has taken his kind of, his funding out of Chelsea, who realistically would be a player that you would be looking at in the summer to sign for Newcastle United from Chelsea?
Ziyech.
Okay. Interesting.
I think Ziyech, or actually someone else, and he had a really, really good game yesterday, and he's on a free. I'd say Rudiger, because he's nasty. He's nasty, but he's a good player. He's a really good player.
I'll duck that question. I can't think of anybody I'd have from Chelsea at the moment, to be honest. But I'm after Tottenham players more myself.
Okay, and who from Tottenham then?
Son.
Yeah, take Son. Yeah,
I take Son. I can spell that. It's really good.
Do you think Daniel Levy's going to sell to us?
Probably not.
We've got
I think the whole next transfer, next summer's transfer window is going to be very interesting. Because where the value is, what people are going to have to pay. Interesting question. A lot of these financial markets are a bit uncertain now. The Russian money is going to be not about for a bit. It's all going to be rather strange in the summer. I don't think the huge value players are going to be out there anymore. I don't think people are going to be paying 100 million.
I think there'll be some bargains, Jeff.
I think so.
And money talks.
Yeah. And I think we can be very careful who we buy and get, build for the future.
Good deal.
I'm not, it's like buying Pogba. Would you buy Pogba? Realistically? Or would it unbalance the team? I mean, it would be just too big a thing to do.
Look, he's not coming to us. He's going.
No. I mean, if you could, if you had, you've got the money, would you? I mean, so this goes back to this snobism again here.
I worry about his ego.
Now.
That's what
I don't think I'd want him in our dressing room, to be honest.
No, and I know the owners, they're big, aren't they, on personality and work rate, and I don't think he ticks those boxes. Albeit, Pete, I take your point. Like, he's a fantastic player, and he probably would fit our system pretty well. But I worry about his attitudes and unbalancing the squad and the togetherness that we've got at the moment.
Yeah, no, I couldn't disagree with that. I couldn't disagree. There's always been a question mark about his attitude and his approach to the game. But like his talent is unquestionable. It's supreme. The one thing I'd say is if he's going to go to somewhere like Real Madrid, I'd quite happily let him go to Real Madrid and we take Toni Kroos for a season or two. I'd be very happy with that. But look, we're looking way above.
Yeah,
we are.
Well, it's perhaps one little thing I'd like to say. In one final thing to say, because there must be Q in the back there. Is there's a problem of snobism. I don't know if we can get a bit snobby about this. And the thing about snobs, right? Snobs are people who've acquired money, right? In the real world, if you live out in the shires like I do, you could be rubbing shoulders with someone admittedly in Waitrose, who probably could own the ground you walk on, and you'd never know. Because the people who are born into money, it's not really a fuss for them, right? It's just sort of part of their life. And it's the people who acquire money who become the snobs who are a bit of course. And my favorite line ever was, "We knew this black man. He was a doctor, of course." That sort of line. I remember from my childhood. And we had a car in those days, of course, all that sort of thing. Because there's this idea that when you get money, you have to have a certain attitude. And I think we as a fan base have not got to get that attitude. We've not become the prawn sandwich brigade or the, hummus pita bread or whatever we're going to be now. The new vegan option. And try and remember who we are and not get, he's not good enough to play for us, or, so-and-so's this and so-and-so's that. They're our team, they're our part of our family, and we mustn't forget them. And they've put in a lot of good service over their time. Admittedly, it hasn't been very successful, but they have tried and they have been here. And so I just hope we don't get too snobby about ourselves.
Yeah. No, I completely see where you're coming from, Jeff.
Because that's awful when you hear that. Yeah.
Yeah, there can be a lot of that, especially on social media, because everyone's got different opinions, and we can be guilty of that as a fan base, and like turning our noses up at certain players. I know a lot of people have felt that way towards Chris Wood, and some people will have thought that way against Matt Targett and gone, "Oh, Matt Targett," but we've seen the jobs that they've done since they've came in, and I think the owners have done really well acquiring those two players.
Well, it all comes back down to trust, doesn't it? We're so used to not having trust in anything that's going on around us, and our fellow fans, the players, everything. We don't trust them. Now we could, there's that sense you were saying before. We trust them. The way they push out from the game, they push out really quickly. When we get broken on, they're back there really quickly. We just sort of trust, there's somebody breaking on us. Target will sort that out. Burns will sort that out. It's fantastic. Yeah. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for your time. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much, Jeff. Yeah, really appreciate you coming on, mate. As always, it's always a pleasure, never a chore. And I'm going to give you this one, Jeff. Back of the net, mate. Back of the net.
Bye.
Take care, Jeff.
Top man. Love it.
Pete, I'm going to take this opportunity to quickly run through the sponsors.
Yep, go for it.
Thanks to all our sponsors. First up, Spider VPN for all your internet security. Google Spider VPN. They are the boys to trust. They come up at the top of the Google network search. Thanks also to skipsandbins.com. Telephone 0800 25 45 25 3. Email inquiries at skipsandbins.com. Website www.skipsandbins.com. Easy, contract free and pay as you go. Waste collection. Thanks also to L&G Family Funeral Directors 01913897245 and to Garden of Healing Dispensary, CBD hemp and cannabinoid specialists www.thegohd.com. Thanks to Arcot Interiors, you can Google them and they come up at the top of the search list also. You can also find them on Heaton Road and they are currently hiring and looking for fitters. So contact Arcot Interiors if you are available to help them with that particular trade. qtechshop.co.uk are the makers of pool tables and snooker tables in Wallsend, Newcastle, and also the guys who run our website. Jab Signature, you can find them at jabsignature.co.uk. Thanks to Media Arts for all of our video editing. And thank you to newworkwear.com, the specialist in the supply and branding of clothing for the workplace, for providing me with my new jacket. And if you want to subscribe to the show, hit the Newcastle Legends logo in the bottom right-hand corner and you can subscribe for free. We still do 7 shows a week and we do some true crime stuff as well. Hit the thumb up under the video to like the video, click share to your social media and drop into the comments box to speak to like-minded Newcastle fans or to leave a question. We're also available as a podcast on iTunes, Spotify and other podcast providers. If you put your phone over this QR code, it will take you straight to our website and you become a Newcastle and UFC Matters member. You get a cup, you get a pen, you get a scarf and entered into our monthly draw where you can win some fantastic prizes. We also do live events and each pre-match and post-match you can find us at the Dog and Parrot and Super Mac gives us a talk about the game ahead. There is good beer and there is good music and there is a pool table and kids are welcome. So get yourself along to the Dog and Parrot each match day in Newcastle City Centre. We also support the food bank on this channel, nufcfansfoodbank.co.uk. You can find the matchday bucket, which is operational 365 days of the year, and you can make a virtual deposit. If you want to find us on Facebook, then just search NUFC Matters. We have a page and a group. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, search Steve Wraith. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, search @SteveWraith.
Thank you, Steve. And Pete, on that note, I'm going to bring our next guest in. And again, another familiar face who we're delighted to welcome. Big hello to Jimmy. How are you doing, Jimmy?
Hello. Hello.
How are things, mate? You okay?
Oh yeah. I'm okay.
Good man.
I'm
Good
okay. Pete, great rant. Top of show.
Thank you, my man.
I mean, you summed it up. And don't you really think that Saint-Maximin would have loved to play in that Brentford match. He would have had a field day.
Yeah.
An absolute field day. And it was probably my most enjoyable game to watch all season. I mean, we went for the jugular. And it was so good to see Big Joe scoring his goal. Big Joe, it's amazing to me that he never slips until he gets to the box. He lost his footing a couple times. It's like a 24-year-old massive body with 3-year-old feet, but he's got a hard head, and that really helped.
Yeah, in the middle of the park,
big
he looks so comfortable, Jimmy. So comfortable in the middle of the park.
Yes, I mean, but I just don't get it. But he'll get better, so I'm not worried about him. My little Scottish shithouser, Ryan Fraser.
Yeah, you picked him up last week, didn't you? You picked him up last week.
God, I mean, if you would have told me after the game that he would have had 20% of our total possession, I would have agreed with you. I mean, he was everywhere, and it was so good to see. And I'm wondering if Scottish coach is gonna have to swallow his pride and bring him back. I mean, because he would by far be your best player.
Yeah.
It's amazing that there was a time where we were saying, God, we really have to shore up this defense. Every match, what's the defense going to do? And we don't have to worry about that anymore. 3 goals given up since January, since the turn of the year. 3 goals. That's crazy.
Yeah, I think I've heard the stat, Jimmy. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure I've heard the stat saying in 2021 we had the worst defense in the league, and since in 2022 we've had the best defense. Now I know, albeit we're only just approaching March, but the turnaround's just been incredible, hasn't it?
I mean, it's amazing. And looking forward, is there any game, even with the big boys, that you don't think that we can get a point in it, if not win?
Yeah.
Well, look at the games that are coming up. We've got Chelsea away. We've got a chance to really kind of go at them. Everton away, although I wouldn't consider them sort of like big boys, but it's all Everton for some reason at Goodison is always seen as a difficult game. But we can go into that full of confidence. So there's someone put something on the comments earlier that we could go the whole rest of the season unbeaten. Now I don't believe that's the case, but that just shows, that comment there is that the confidence that we have as a fan base right now is that we go into every game, and I think Chris alluded to it earlier on in the show. We're confident in going into every game now. We're not necessarily worried because we're confident in the ability of the boys, but more importantly in what the manager's implementing for the players.
Yeah.
And I guess my final 2 points, the only way where that I could see that we could really improve would find out what the hell's wrong with Gale, because this is his chance to put himself in the shop window, and it would give Howe another option up top, even if he comes in as a sub. And I don't understand what his deal is or what's going on behind the scene, but Howe's shown that he's not a manager that holds grudges. Ask Fraser. So I don't know. It seems like one good training session he could get in the team. I don't understand it. And on this Chelsea situation, this is a great summer to go get Pulisic at a discount rate. I don't understand how Abramovich, you can have him go down to Ukraine and discuss be a part of the negotiations. Why are you there? Why are you not in Putin's ear right now? That's your buddy. That's your friend. You don't need to be talking to the Ukraine. You need to be talking to your buddy. Yeah. And FIFA is a joke. I mean, when you're slower than the IOC in reacting to something, it just the level of greed and corruption within FIFA is just amazing.
Absolutely spot on.
Yeah.
And it runs right through football as well, Jimmy. That's the problem. Is it runs through all types of football. I mean, look, what one of the decisions, and it's not Newcastle related, but I want to get both of your opinions on it. In some of the corruption in football, it affects the results, and although it benefited us, you look at the Everton decision at the weekend, Saturday night, with I think it's Canelo that handled the ball, and given us a penalty. Obviously, Man City winning, it helps us, and look, I'll take it because it helps us. But it's
so bad.
It's blatant and it's so bad. And what that links to is the decision that we didn't get at St James's Park with Ryan Fraser when he got taken out by the goalkeeper. It was a clear penalty, and they didn't give it. Even the VAR turned it down. It's just like that is exactly what you said, Jimmy. Right from FIFA, runs all the way through, right into the Premier League. It's just corruption all the way. Like it's bad. It's so bad at the moment. And they're not even trying to hide it either. They're just being obvious.
Yeah. And do you know what? Colin Wilson makes a really good point there, and this is what Frank Lampard said in his interview. He said Everton have made a formal complaint, and rightly so. But again, as Lampard said, it doesn't make a blind bit of difference, though, does it? It won't change anything. And they'll apologise. They'll say, sorry about that. Terrible decision. But ultimately, nobody's held accountable. And that's the problem. Nobody is held accountable. And that referee will be refereeing this weekend. You can guarantee it.
Yeah, it's not the referee's fault. Is it Chris Kavanagh, the guy that
Chris Kavanagh was on the VAR.
He'll be. You're exactly right, Chris. He'll still be refereeing at the weekend. He won't be made to feel bad about it, or have any effects on making such a bad decision. It's crazy.
We spoke to Keith Hackett, didn't we, Pete?
Yeah.
We spoke to Keith Hackett on Loaded about it, and he was the same. He said there's no accountability, and he said, back in my day when he was in charge of is it PGCMOL, and he was saying that he would pull referees in and say, play the video and say, what was that? What can you give me a reason as to why you did that? And then he said, I'd have them on leave. I'd say, listen, you're not refereeing next week. And then they were held accountable and they would be punished for making a wrong decision, as anybody would be in a workplace. If you make a mistake, you're then punished, and then you then hopefully learn from your mistakes. But right now, there's no punishment.
Yeah, and well, it's just nice to see someone else getting some bad calls. I had a huge smile on my face, but let's not forget that idiot Mike Dean called the foul on target. I mean, and then when he came out of the VAR, the NBC broadcast, Arlo White made the comment that he just had a look on his face, and Arlo said, "Yep, that's the look of a man who made a mistake." Just called Mike Dean out, and I thought that was great. Yeah. But that's it. I am done. I will enjoy my sunshine, and you enjoy your brandy and you enjoy your vape, and you all have a great night.
Jimmy, this is what
Oh, no,
Mondays are
Jimmy,
all
thank you
about.
so much for coming on, mate.
All right.
Yeah.
No problem. Thank you, guys.
You take care, my man.
Yeah, thank you, Jimmy. You
All
take
right.
care, mate. I'm gonna have to give you something, Jimmy, because that was a fantastic
Okay.
little cameo from you there. Thank
Oh,
you. I gave you two then. I didn't even mean that.
I know.
So good that I
Well,
did it
next
twice,
time,
Jimmy.
well, next time, you can get me a virtual lap dance or something. That's big.
Well,
Or the
listen,
wife.
Jimmy, thank you so
Maybe the
much, mate.
wife's number. All right. Thank you.
You take care, mate, and we'll speak to you soon.
Okay.
All the best.
Top
Take
man.
care. Funny Jimmy, isn't he?
Great guy.
Funny guy, but tell you
Great
what,
guy.
makes some great points. Great points,
Yeah.
and we didn't really touch on the referees or anything, did we? And yeah, it's absolutely right what he says, and it was important to bring up that handball decision against Rodri, which was blatant penalty and wasn't given. But us Newcastle fans are used to that, aren't we? So I think, as Jimmy said, it's nice to see other clubs getting it for a change and not us.
And like I say, I wasn't kind of. You're in that position where you're not kind of arguing against it too much because it does benefit us, but
It
at the
does
same
benefit us.
time,
Yeah.
you do feel like you do feel a certain way because of the type of decisions that we've had against us.
Yeah.
You go back to the Isaac Hayden against Liverpool, where he's literally on the floor holding his head. They go and score like literally on top of him
Yeah.
while he's crumpled in the box.
He stepped over him to score.
You know what I mean? It's just like it's madness. And then you got the Ryan Fraser the week afterwards. It's just mad decisions. Even before that, you got the blatant Maddison dive that gets the penalty at Leicester that we were at.
Yeah.
And before that, we were the better
Simulation.
team. Yeah.
Yeah.
Changes the game. They end up winning 4-0. They think they've had a great game, whereas actually we were the better team up until he dives to get the penalty. It's just, you know what? I'm just sick of these awful decisions. And it's just, you do feel bad to a certain point, and then you realise it's another team. You think, well, we've had it. In one sense, it's kind of like it's only fair that others get it too, although it's not. That's not how it should be. But
No, it's like football in karma, isn't it? But then at the same time, you see it from a footballing point of view or a fan's point of view rather than the team, and you think, you know what? Just because it's happened to us doesn't mean that others should have it, and you do sense the frustration, and you can see why fans get really upset over it, especially the likes of Everton, who are right down there in trouble. It's not like this has happened to a Wolves who probably won't get into Europe but aren't going to get relegated. So really, it doesn't make that much of a difference to Everton right now. That's huge. It's absolutely huge, and it's a difference between a point and no points.
Definitely. But as Sam Monkey Suit just said, and Jimmy said earlier, enjoy your vape, Chris.
Just enjoy your vape. Yeah, just enjoy it. And it's funny that actually, because I was, do you know what? I was going to say this before the show. I wanted to know if anyone had noticed. It was on a loaded show, and my vape broke, and I never had my vape the whole show. And it was funny because all through the show I was like that. Because my vape was broke, but it's back now. It's back, and it's back with a vengeance. And somebody asked me before about the flavour. It's Arctic Cherry.
Arctic Cherry?
Arctic Cherry. It's lovely. Yeah. So, I'm enjoying that tonight, and I am enjoying my vape. So, yeah, thank you for the concern from everyone. I do appreciate it.
Oh, God, we've gone from on NUFC Matters. What was it? Rate your plates or whatever it is to now like kind of what flavors the vape.
yeah. We'll have to get Steve to do a segment on it.
Yeah, definitely.
Right, let's get our next guest in. We've got two more guests to go, and I am very conscious of time, so we better get things moving because obviously we want to get through some questions. We've had some fantastic questions in from the viewers, and I'd love to touch on them before we wrap up. So let's bring our next guest in again, another regular face. Big welcome to Tony. How you doing, Tony?
Yeah, hi lads. Not too bad. How are you?
Yeah, good mate. All good. What did you want to say, Tony?
Yeah, I got a couple of points. First one, obviously, about the game on Saturday, and then my second one will be about Eddie Howe and see what other people in the chat think as well, what I've got to say about Eddie Howe. So, first of all, great win on Saturday. I watched that game, and when he gave the foul, I thought, oh, okay then, and then he went to the VAR, and I thought, oh, okay, something more than this is going to happen. And then he looked a bit red-faced, didn't he, Mike Dean, afterwards, when he come back to give the free kick first and then the red card.
Yeah.
But it was a definite red card when you saw the replay.
Yeah.
That could have broke his leg.
Out of interest, and only because I don't know the answers to this, because I didn't see it, did they send the referee over to the screen?
Yes.
They did. And it's interesting, isn't it? Because it's like sorry to touch back on that, Tony, but it's like that Rodri decision, with the handball.
Yeah.
It makes you think. If you think, nah, it's not a penalty, but it might be a little bit, touch and go. If he'd have sent that referee over, and then the referee hadn't have given it, you've gone right. The VAR referee hasn't given it, and the on-field referee hasn't given it. So maybe the referees could perhaps try and justify it a bit more. But the fact that the VAR fella's gone, nah, nothing to see, let's leave it. That's the big problem for me.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of the pundits are saying that as well.
That was a handball on Saturday night, wasn't it? I mean, even Dermot Gallagher said today, he said the VAR referees looked at it too many times. He says, I've had one look at it now to give it as a red handball straight away and said penalty. That's what Dermot Gallagher said.
Yeah.
So, he was on the side of Everton, I suppose. And we've put a complaint in about the referee, so Everton's turned now, innit?
Yeah.
But but VAR's been switched on for the last few weeks for us, so long may that continue now to the end of the season.
Absolutely.
But I mean, you just see the difference in us now. I mean, on Saturday, 63% possession, 26 shots in total, 11 on target. We are getting better as a team now under Eddie Howe.
100%, Tony, 100%. And you're absolutely right. When you look at the stats, it's like if you took away the name of the club and you went, what club's that? You'd never, a few months ago, you would never say Newcastle, would you? You'd never go, oh, they've got the most possession, loads of shots. You go, if someone says, oh, yeah, that's Newcastle, you go, no, can't be Newcastle. Sure.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, and take out of it, we haven't got Wilson, we haven't got ESM, and we haven't got Trippier. So there's 3 players out.
It's crazy. It just goes to show where we could go, Tony, doesn't it? I mean, when we get those players back, and then imagining this fast forward to the summer, and we bring in 2 or 3 even better standard of players.
Now, here's another scenario. What if, say, at the start of the season, when we had our previous owner, who I don't really want to name him, now, had he got rid of Bruce at the start of the season and brought Eddie Howe in from the start, where would we have actually been now?
Do you know what? It's a fantastic question.
If you take out the 5 players, he's got them players. He's getting the tune out of the players that were already there. I mean,
do you know what, Tony? It's a great point you've just made, because touching on what I said earlier, about the midfield and Eddie Howe saying that's our strongest position at the moment. That midfield 3 is what we had at the start of the season.
Yeah.
So it's a great point.
Yeah. And I mean, Joe Linton, he's got a tune out of him now. He's got a tune out of Shelby. He's got Willock playing brilliantly now.
Yeah.
Willock's got 2 and 2 now. Is this going to be Willock on a run now? Is he going to go on this scoring run again? Because,
I hope so.
You never know. Yeah. And I mean, we might have Chelsea in a couple of weeks' time away from home. Who's to say we don't get a point there? The last time we played Chelsea was before Eddie Howe came to the club, and we were a shambles. And they ran over us in the second half. But we're a different animal this time around to Chelsea.
I don't think any team, Tony, is going to see Newcastle and think, great, easy 3 points. At the moment, I don't think anybody wants to play us, even the likes of City and Liverpool. And that's not to say I'm saying we can turn City and Liverpool over. I'm not saying that. But it's not going to be an easy game for them. I think they used to look at us and think, do you know what? As soon as it goes 1-2-0, it's done. With us, because we're fighting and because we're re-energized, we're excited about the future, we're all on the same sides, we're playing well under Eddie Howe. I think those clubs probably think and go, we're in for a tough afternoon here. This isn't going to be easy. Even when they're at home, because we're not going to give up. We're going to constantly keep going and going and going.
We just want to hope this week Palace beat Stoke, so we don't have that 4 games in 9 days.
That's right.
And I mean,
Yeah.
tomorrow Burnley play their game in hand. They've got Leicester at home. So hopefully Leicester do us a favour.
Come on, Pete.
Yeah.
Hey, don't ask me. Hey, don't ask me. I can't stand Leicester. I can't stand them.
I know.
And the one thing I've got from Leicester fans this week when I've asked them, because I've said to them, come on, do us a favour this week.
Yeah.
They've said, and quite rightly so, their record at Burnley at Turf Moor is awful.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's not good. It's not good.
God.
They don't get results from that too. So
Let's hope Maddison dives.
Yeah. Bit of simulation, that'll do. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll go on to my point about Eddie Howe. So you keep seeing rumours going around that. Right, so if we stay up, do we then go for a next level manager, or Eddie Howe stays for another year, and then after that you go for your next level manager? Now, the thing that gets me is, what's to say Eddie Howe can't be given the chance to become the elite manager? Now, you look at managers who are elite managers now. You look at Alex Ferguson. Before he went to Man U, he was at Aberdeen. They won a title they won a cup. And then he went to Man U. He was one game from the sack. And then he turned out to be this brilliant manager. But he wasn't well known.
No.
You know, Klopp, he took Mainz down in Germany, got them relegated, then went to Dortmund and made his name there. Guardiola made his name at Barcelona. And then when he went to Munich, people thought, all right, this will be the big test for him. He went there, done well. And then he went to Man City, and obviously we know what he's done at Man City. So what's to say Eddie Howe can't have the same chance? What if next season, and I'm just saying this is just an if, I mean, I'm not saying this is definitely going to happen next season. We have a good summer. We sign a lot of players. We'll get rid of a lot as well. And then say we finish in the top 10. I'm not saying we're going to finish 6th, 4th or whatever. I'm just saying top 10. And then say we win, say the Carabao Cup we win. What's to say the season after Eddie Howe doesn't kick us on and take us further up the table? The guy's got to be given a chance. He's got to turn off the deal. So, you know, let's give him the chance. Give him the tools to do the job and give him the chance. You can see the football we're playing. Anybody's going to buy into that. And I mean, Botman's already said he's happy with that project. Yeah. And Amanda Staveley actually said he wanted to come. So did Jesse Lingard. Yeah.
Do you know what, Tony? I was one of the doubters. I'm going to give Pete even more credit now. Pete wanted Eddie Howe very, very early on. And I don't think he's as surprised as the start that Eddie Howe's made and what he's actually done. For me, I'm completely gobsmacked, and I know he's only got a 2.5-year contract, but if he carries on the way he's going and we make a good start to next season, so let's say we stay up and we make a good start to next season, it wouldn't surprise me at all if Eddie Howe gets that contract extension.
It's not if we stay up, Chris. We will stay up.
I'm still not being too overconfident, because until we get to 34, 35 points, I won't start really believing it, because I know this is Newcastle, isn't it, Tony? And we know what happens at Newcastle, and it's a unique club. And if something bad happens or we get a bad run of luck, nine times out of 10 it will happen to Newcastle. So I'm not counting me chickens until we get another 3 wins, I'd say.
I would say we can definitely get another 3 wins. There's
we can.
3 wins there, yeah.
Can. Yeah.
I mean, I'm up at the game on Saturday against Brighton, so you know, hopefully we can beat them, because they are a bogey team since we came up with them. So hopefully we can get 3 points on Saturday, and that puts us on 28. I think Norwich have gone now, because I can't see them coming back. They look very poor. Yeah. They've had their burst, I think, and I know we've got to play them away, but I'm not frightened of them, to be fair. There's nothing in that team that makes you worry apart from Pookie, but even he's not doing well, is he? So as a team, they're struggling anyway. So I think they'll go, and I think Watford will go as well. I mean, Man United were poor on Saturday against Watford. One of the highlights I saw on Match of the Day, the chances he had to bury Watford, and he just couldn't put them away.
Yeah.
Fernandes heading past the post, and it's just like, You know,
It's not good enough for the standard of play they've got. It's really not.
but he
really
dropped
not
all
good
the
enough.
English players. That's what I
Yeah.
couldn't understand.
Yeah.
You've put all your English players on the bench like Shaw and everybody, and then, you know,
Yeah.
you
No,
should
you're
be playing a
absolutely right.
strong team against Watford. But I think Watford will go. And then, do you know what? I've got this feeling for some reason Burnley's going to sneak out of this.
Do you think so?
I think so. And I think it's going to be someone like Brentford or Leeds who will go down.
Yeah.
Maybe this new manager for Leeds, he doesn't know the Premier League. And, you know, if Leeds don't get a quick start under him, they could struggle badly.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
But even Everton could go.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean,
Because
you
they've
know,
got a tough run in.
Everton's running's horrible. Really,
Yeah.
really bad. Really bad. I know they had a good performance against City, but you know they've played their hearts out and they've still got beat.
Yeah.
How demoralising must that be? And then
God,
they've
yeah.
had that decision against them, and it could really damage them long term. That because if they don't start picking up the points, they're in big trouble. I mean, Pete, before we move on to our next guest, what are your thoughts on what Tony's had to say? I mean, he's made some fantastic points as always.
No, it's difficult to know where to start really, because I think you pretty much covered everything with regards to your comments. But no, great comments as always. I think, you know, there's a lot of people in the chat that have been making kind of comments on the back of what you've said. I think we're in such a great position at the moment. We've got a fantastic manager in place, and a lot of other people have been mentioning about Eddie Howe, and I'll kind of focus on that in particular. And I've said it before. I've said it to the loaded lads as well. I can't think of any better scenario than Eddie Howe as an Englishman taking Newcastle United up to the Champions League and fighting for trophies. There's no better situation than us having an English manager taking us forward as a club. He's the right man for the job. As Chris alluded to earlier, I think it was around sort of end of October, early November 2020 when I first started talking about Eddie Howe potentially coming in and taking over Bruce and really kind of galvanising his team. We'd not long signed, obviously, Callum Wilson, Ryan Fraser, and I talked about him making the difference to those players because he worked with them before. What has he done since he come in? Obviously, Callum Wilson's been injured, but Callum Wilson had already started to change his game, and I think if he'd have not got injured, we would have seen a completely different, more versatile and more potent Callum Wilson in this Newcastle team if he'd have been fit. But what you're now seeing is a hugely influential Ryan Fraser, which none of us could have said back at November 2020. He's got the best out of them. He's got the players fit. He's got the players hungry. He's got the players, understanding a significant way of playing football in an attacking sense. So the way we're playing in games, we look dangerous. The amount of chances we're creating, not just against Brentford, but against West Ham. Within the first 10 minutes, we could have been 3-0 up. Before they'd even got into our box against West Ham, we could have been 3-0 up. That's us going to teams that are fighting for top four without Trippier, without ASM, without Callum Wilson. That is the philosophy and the mentality that he's playing. He's going into games against Brentford and West Ham with Kraft at right back and Jacob Murphy on the wing and still picking up results and still playing well as a team. That's the type of performances he's galvanising from our group of players.
And the way he's being loyal to the team as well, because like Lascelles, he can't get back in the team now because you can't split Shaw and Burn up. And if the rumours are right that they're going to offer Shelby and Shaw a new contract, I would rather they get it done now before the end of the season because Shaw has been absolutely fantastic. But if you go back to when, and I know we're going back to Rafa, but when we had Rafa here as manager, Shaw played well then. If you remember that 30-yarder he scored against Burnley.
Yeah, fantastic.
And equally, like Chris alluded to, I was a big Eddie Howe fan and I consistently backed Ryan Fraser to come good. Equally, though, I was very, very negative about Fabian Shaw a year ago, and I wanted him out of the club. I didn't think he had a future with us. I thought he was looking to play for a move away, and maybe he was, but I'm quite happy to hold my hands up and say the way he's been playing at the moment, he is playing at an elite centre-back level in the Premier League.
Yeah.
He's playing.
He looks like a Swiss international, doesn't he, Pete? He actually looks.
He looks better than that, Chris. He looks better than that. He looks like a player that should be playing. He looks like a centre back that should be playing European football. That's how good he's playing at the moment, Fabian Shaw. And you know what says a lot about Fabian Shaw is the tweets in the Instagram posts that he's putting out. He is constantly, week in, week out, putting something out Newcastle related. That wasn't always happening with Fabian Shaw. He's putting it out there. Why? Because he's happy. So he's happy with what's going on at the club. He's happy within himself. So putting that post out on Instagram with the team together, that's not the first time he did it this week. He's done it a couple of times since those posts of the team have been coming out. He's been the one that's been posting them initially. That tells you everything you need to know about how happy he is at the club at the moment. And, a lot of people have been talking about it this week and the week before. We need to sign him up. We need to sign him up now because I'm convinced that top clubs are looking at him right now. I'm convinced of it. There are top clubs that need a centre-back like him in their team. And the way he's playing right now, there are top clubs looking at our players right now. We don't need to sell, but the problem with Fabian Shaw is what Chris alluded to. His contract's out in the summer. So what we need to do is get him signed up right now on a long-term contract. Give him a 4-year deal. What is he? I think he's 29 or just turned 30. Give him a 4-year deal. Okay? That will give him the security for the next 4 years. He's going to be part of our project. Whether it's first team, squad, but he's going to be getting a wage of financial security. Get him done. Get him in because he will be a very important player for how we transition our club in the next few years.
And
definitely.
And I thought on Saturday when Bruno come on for that half an hour cameo, I thought he was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
You could see the level of player he actually is. And I mean, he had a shot as well on goal, which he was unlucky with, but I think once he's playing a full game, we're going to see the best of him, and we've got years to see the best of him yet. And I mean, Howe's doing a great job by just bringing them in gently, easing them in to the Premier League, because I think from next season he'll be a certain starter. And I think these owners will do the business early to get the players in for pre-season training. I think that's what they'll do. They'll do the business early. I think Botman will come because he seems happy to come to a project. I don't think he'll go to AC Milan. I think he'll come here. He could be what Man City had with Vincent Kompany.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would say target is left back, but the only thing is there's no option to buy him. But if that's the case, do you think we'll go back for Mitchell Bakker?
I'd say no. And the reason I say that is because I think we'll try and sign Matty Target permanently if he carries on playing the way he is. And I know some people will disagree with this, but I still think there's a place in the squad for Jamal Lewis. I think Jamal Lewis isn't done. I think he's young. I'm sure he's hungry. I know he impressed Eddie Howe when he made those 2 appearances and then unfortunately got injured. But he's still a player who could still have a good career at Newcastle. And I think if your left back options are Matty Target and Jamal Lewis going into next season, I'm more than happy with that, especially when you've got the likes of Dan Burn who can play left back. You've got Paul Dummett who can play left back. So I think that's more than enough. I think we focus on other areas of the pitch. What about you, Pete?
Yeah, we need goal scorers in the summer, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll see Darwin Núñez through the door.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. I think Matt, I think the one thing that we're going to get in the summer, providing that we stay up, and I believe we will comfortably, but I think Matty Target will ask to leave Aston Villa.
Yeah,
he's not going to want to be second fiddle to Luca Dean, and let's face it, the way he's been playing recently at Newcastle, he's been performing better than Luca Dean. So he's not going to want to go back and be second fiddle to him. We may have to pay pay an English premium for Matty Target. But you know what? So be it, because he's a talented boy, and I think Chris is absolutely right. We've got Jamal Lewis as a Northern Ireland international that I think will come back into the squad in the summer. And personally, my own opinion, I think Paul Dummett will leave. Paul Dummett's contract's out in the summer, and I think they'll move him on. I think we'll have those. I think Jamal Lewis and Matty Targett will be our two left backs going forward. Matty Targett at 26. Jamal Lewis at 23, 24 years old, perfect ages for them to both progress and develop. I can see Paul Dummett with his injury problems probably moving on in the summer, and then like you said with Sven Botman, I think we're gonna have it's gonna be tough, because Lille want to sell to AC Milan. They don't want to sell to Newcastle because they've got that financial agreement and that relationship with AC Milan. Lille, the ownerships have. And that's why they're trying to get this deal with AC Milan. And that's why they've been talking about him going to a Champions League club and blah, 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 blah. They want him to go to AC Milan. They don't want him to go to Newcastle, but money will always talk. And that's why I said in one of our shows a couple of weeks ago, when our Premier League status is secure, the first thing we need to do is get Sven Botman's deal signed.
Yes, definitely.
That's our first signing that we need to get hold of, because he will transform our club.
And don't forget, Pete, to touch on Matty Targett there quickly. The one advantage we've got at Matt Targett, he's 26, great age, obviously he's English, but the one kind of bargaining tool we've got in the sense is that they've gone and spent, I think it was 25 million on Luca Dean. So they can't say to us, we want 40 million for Matty Targett, because we'd then turn around and go, well, you've just bought a brand new left back who you deem better than Matty Targett for 25 million. So we'll offer you 20 million for Matty Targett. I think, and we saw the kind of character that Steven Gerrard is. I don't think he stands in the way of Matty Targett. And if he wants to leave, I think he lets him go. And as long as they get a good price for him, I can't see why that deal can't get done. I think the maximum we pay is 25 million as a replacement. It is in terms of it won't be more upwards of 25 million, because it can't be justified. It just can't. You can't pay more than the. What was that? Sorry, Pete.
I think Villa paid 13 for him, so they paid a decent price for him. So I think what you said initially, in that around a £20 million deal, I think that's a fair deal.
Yeah, it's fair.
And like you said, I don't think Gerrard would be one that would try and penny pinch. I think he'll understand that Targett, and the fact that he's allowed Targett to go on loan, I think tells you that he's respecting his wishes. So I think he will then respect his wishes. And 20 million is a good deal all round.
The thing is, Pete, when you go back to that away days a couple of weeks ago, when you had the Villa fan on, he turned around and he said Villa would probably sell Targett for about 15 million.
Yeah, could do.
I
mean, hopefully that's the case, Tony.
Newcastle tax on top of that, though.
Yeah, Newcastle tax and the fact that he's played so well. If he continues to play this well, I think Villa will be looking at him and going, "Ooh, that we can probably demand top dollar for him." So yeah, but fingers crossed, mate. Fingers crossed. And if it's 20 million, 25 million, I'd pay it to get the deals on, because he's impressed.
Yeah, he's been absolutely brilliant since he's played for us. You'll think he's played for us for years.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, Tony, it's been an absolute pleasure, mate. I'm going to have to move on because we've still got another guest to come. But as always, thank you so much for coming on, and I'm going to give you one of these.
Thank you, lads. Lovely to be on. And
cheers, Tony.
I think we'll win 2-0 on Saturday.
Good man. Good man. That'll do, me.
That'll do. Yeah, lovely.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Take care.
Lads.
Thank you, Tony.
Bye.
All the best, mate.
Take care.
Very good. Always good to get Tony on, and I thought it was great points as well about Matty Targett. I think if he continues playing the way he is, Pete, we've got to bring him in. We've got him, because he's just seamlessly slotted in at left back, and if we had him guaranteed for the next 4 or 5 years, I'd have no problem with that whatsoever.
Very good player.
Yeah,
room to develop as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 26, good age to bring someone in. We can build up that really good relationship, possibly with Dan Burn if Dan Burn stays at left centre back, or Sven Botman if he comes in. But we'll have to wait and see. Right, we're going to have our final guest on, and I could be wrong here, Pete, but I'm pretty sure this is a debut. So big, massive welcome to Pablo.
How are you doing, boys?
Pablo?
I'm very well. How are you?
Good,
Very
mate. Good. What
Good
did you
to
want
meet
to come
you.
on? Oh, yeah,
Good
you too,
to
mate.
meet
You too. You too.
Just a couple of quick ones. Who was the caller just before Tony? There was a lad from over the water.
Jimmy.
Jimmy. I didn't quite catch his name, and I thought, I'm in the midst of writing a book, and Steve's going to publish it, and I want Jimmy to narrate my life. What an absolute legend of a man he has, and what a soothing voice.
Yeah,
He's a great
lovely guy.
He's phenomenal. I've caught him the odd time or two, and I've kind of tuned into him for the last few minutes. But do you know what? What a good guy. Just a quick one, lad, because I know you're pushing on. You talked about football snobbery before, and we were on about would we accept players like Pogba, etc., etc. And I remember a couple of months ago we were linked with players like Eden Hazard, and as a lifelong Newcastle fan, I'm thinking, do you know what? I really rather wouldn't, because these guys are coming here purely for a payday, for a swan song, and that's not what we're about. We've been taken over by an ownership and a manager who's got a bigger plan in mind. We've always been the Newcastle that will sign players like Nicky Butt, at the end of their careers. Or do you know what I mean? Whoever it may be for like the final 2 years of the career, and they're not bothered. They're not asked. They're turning up for a couple of quid. And to be linked with players like Pogba, Hazard, I just think, no, we're going in a different direction now.
Throw Gareth Bale into that as well.
Who's he? Is he a footballer or is he a golfer?
A golfer. He's playing more golf than football this season. You know what? It's a fantastic point. And you know what? I 100% agree. What you've just said there, Pablo, is what Everton did a few years ago, 5 years ago, when they signed like Sigurdsson, Klassen, Rooney, Walcott, all those players, Iwobi for 30 minutes. That still baffles me. They spent that much money on that part of trash. Like, I can't believe it. But you're absolutely right. They've signed players that have just that have gone there for the money. And you're absolutely right. We don't want to be about that. We don't have to sign the big names that are out there right now, because what we can do is sign the players that can be the players in 4 or 5 years' time for the future.
Yeah,
of course, mate, of course. And I think, do you know what, brother? I think our January window has kind of backed that up in the sense of we could have gone out and got a load of Joeys in that had come in and, trotted around the pitch, dare I say it, Dele Allis, etc., etc. But what we've done, Eddie's gone and bought players that will actually put a shift in, and putting a shift in clearly works.
Yeah. It's absolutely right. I mean, we spoke about it. We spoke about it before the window opened, actually, Pablo, on Loaded, which is a show Pete and I do. If you haven't subscribed, get yourself on there, Pablo. You'll love it.
Will do, mate. Yeah, we'll do. Definitely.
Yeah, we were talking about how, like, the kind of players we want are young, hungry players who want to come here and see it as a privilege to play for Newcastle, see it as an exciting project. But like your Sven Botmans, if you like, he keeps talking about the project. He's excited by the project. Whereas you're absolutely right. The likes of Hazard, Pogba, and other players of that ilk will come here and think, oh yeah, they've got money now. Why not? I may as well, get that last payday. And
they'll be the same as our. They'll be the same as our mate Michael Owen. They'll fly up on a helicopter for a couple of days training, and they'll go back to Chester and they'll train a few horses, and that'll be their interest. And that's not what we want as fans, as as a club. But I think the whole world has changed, as in our world, as in NUFC. We've actually got some owners that they're here for the long term. I think they're not here for a quick buck, because let's face it, they don't need a quick buck. They've got more money than sense. But they're here for a project. They're here, they want to do good things. I think Eddie Howe is probably the best man that we ever could have appointed. He wouldn't have been my first choice, I'll be honest.
No,
but now I've looked at it. I've changed my opinion so much. And, that's football, isn't it? Football is all about opinions. But do you know what? Long may it continue. Amazing stuff. And it's weird, isn't it, saying, do you know what? I think we'll win on Saturday.
Yeah,
I tell people. I said to Steve, they were on the chat, and I said, do you know what? I think we can go for 11th, 12th. And he was like, whoa, well, just calm down. And I'm thinking, why not? Why not? Yeah. Why not? dare to dream, as we say.
2 points behind Leicester. 2 points behind Leicester.
Yeah.
What was it? I think
Exactly.
5 points behind Villa, and I think there's one other that's just above.
Who've had fantastic seasons, Pete, who are absolutely incredible.
In the media, blown up to shreds as these top teams that have had amazing seasons. You think about Brighton. You think about Brighton in this amazing season that they've had. If we beat them on Saturday, we're 3 points closer to overtaking them. And they've never finished above us in any season in the Premier League since they came up with us. And it would not surprise me at all. I said it way back earlier on in the season when we were right down in the doldrums, right down at the bottom of the league. We'll finish above Leeds, we'll finish above Brentford, and it wouldn't surprise me if we finish above Brighton as well. So you're absolutely right to think or look up rather than down.
Totally. I mean, don't get me wrong. You know, before, as we were getting taken over, the mainstream media had us relegated already. We were down by Christmas, weren't we?
Yeah.
So but just to accentuate that point, football snobbery. Do you guys? I mean, I'm obviously, none of us here are from Newcastle. We've not got Geordie accents. Have you grown up with people basically saying, why do you support Newcastle? How do you support Newcastle? Because you're not from Newcastle. So that buys into the football snobbery. So I was going to ask you about that.
It's a really good point. I don't know about you, Pete, but I've always been asked that question, and I suppose I have a good excuse, if you like, because me dad's sad all from Newcastle. My dad moved over to Liverpool when he was like 19. And I've still got family up in Newcastle. But obviously, me being born and bred in Liverpool, I don't sound like I'm from Newcastle. But it's funny, every time I go to Newcastle, it always feels like home to me. And what I love most about Newcastle is how similar it is to Liverpool.
To Liverpool, listen, I'll back that up.
Salt of the earth.
Yeah, total, mate. You go to my experience of both cities. I mean, I'm from Lancaster, so it's kind of in the middle of them both, really. But you go to Liverpool, you go to Newcastle, you should, like anywhere, really. But I think you get it more in Liverpool, Newcastle. You can walk into a bar, show some respect, and before you know it, you sat around with 5 or 10 lads having a chin wag and girls, and you're meant to feel welcome as long as you show some respect. But I don't know, Pete, whereabouts are you from, mate?
I'm from the Midlands. I'm from Leicester. So,
do you know what I was going to say? Like kind of Nottingham area-ish.
Yeah. So I get the same questions. It's like, why Newcastle? Like I've got people that don't even know where Newcastle is on the map. Like, like it's crazy. It's crazy. I have to tell them about how amazing and how beautiful the city is, and how beautiful like some of the surroundings are. And I'm showing them pictures of the and they're literally saying to their partners and people around, "Oh, we need to go up there. Like this is an amazing place." They don't even know where it is. Like it's crazy. But like from a football point of view, look, I've been ridiculed and kind of laughed at for years because of the situation that we found ourselves in. Certainly the last 14 years of Ashley, like our results week in, week out. It's kind of like, a lot of my mates are the Leicester fans, Man United, Liverpool. So they're all winning most weeks, and they look at us, Leicester, Newcastle are, lost again. They're shit, blah, blah, blah. And it's now, but the interesting thing is now is when I have those conversations, nothing. When Newcastle win, nothing.
Nothing. No one's interested in football anymore. North.
Yeah, nobody talks about football because I've got the Leicester fans that are all losing every week. You've got the Man U fans that are in a downward trajectory. They drew to Watford, and I'm going, hold on, you should be helping us out here. You're meant to be this big top club in Man United. You can't even beat Watford at home. And then you've got the Liverpool fans that obviously are celebrating their loving life at the moment. But they don't want to talk about Newcastle because they're all worried. They're all
worried, mate. They're all worried. It's like the silent worry. It's the creeper.
Definitely.
I was fortunate, mate. So the first period of my Newcastle following was through the Keegan era. Then I was really lucky again. I had a season ticket when Bobby Robson was in charge. I know he was going on about before about Jermaine Genius and all players like that, which I totally agree with you. Genius is not Newcastle, mate. He never has been. He went up there for a couple of quid. End of, and that's as far as Newcastle and Genius go.
Yeah, you're
but
right.
Then obviously the era after, like we've all experienced in the last 10 years, has been Ashley. And I remember going to a game with my dad, and we even went. We were up in the high heavens, but behind the goal, we went against Man City. I think Sean Wright-Phillips scored a hat trick, absolutely tore us a new one, and even you'd go down to the bar at half time, and you would look at the list, the menu, and there'd be one pie out of 5 that would be available. So even Ashley wasn't even invested in pies. All he wanted to do was. So, I mean, how ridiculous is that? You've got 5 options of a pie, and you could have one. But
sums them up, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, but that's how stripped back the club was, wasn't it?
Yeah,
you're right.
It was sickening to see.
It's embarrassing. It was embarrassing.
But I tell you what, good luck, Mike, down at Derby.
That's if he gets given the reins.
Colleen Rooney is going to be his number 2, I think.
I'll be honest with you. I kind of hope he doesn't take over Derby, because I've got a young lad.
I know, yeah.
Young lad that I looked after at his school. That was at the Derby County Academy, and he's coming through the ranks at the moment as an under 18. Really? I would hate the thought of him coming under that sort of umbrella of Mike Ashley. I'd rather him go and buy Chelsea. Go and buy Chelsea. Make them self-sustainable. Mid-table Chelsea. Let him go and do that. We'll take their place in the top 4.
Let him take Sports Direct down the Knightsbridge.
Yeah. You think how long that lasts there? Before they're going onto the pitch kicking off.
You can imagine that down in Knightsbridge selling his Donny shirts. 3 for a tenner. 3 for a tenner on the corner of Stamford.
Oh.
Love it.
So just on that, what do you think will happen? Which I think is a very smart business move. I think all he's done is side shift a bit of paperwork. I don't think he's pulling out of it.
No, I think he's just waiting, isn't he? He's probably just waiting for the pressure to really crank up. And like Ashley, and it wouldn't surprise me if he was trying to get a better deal. Knowing him, just wouldn't surprise me at all.
The deal, the better deal was the issue with Middlesbrough, because Middlesbrough took Derby to court, didn't they, over something, and they were looking for compensation or some sort of payout, which would have meant extra millions on top, which is one of the big things that there's one of the big things why Derby felt that they at some point might go under, but because there's been an out of court settlement of some sort, that's then allowed Mike Ashley to think he doesn't have to pay out as much money, because there would have been not just buying out the club, but all the debts and the other additional things in place. So I think he's trying to knock back all these additional things to ensure that he can get the cheapest deal possible. He basically, the way in which he left us, which was a shell of a club, that's what he wants to take over at Derby. He wants to take over a shell of a club, and not necessarily just build them up, but just kind of like just continue what's been going on, but just pump a little bit of money here and there, try and get on promotion, but on the cheapest budget possible.
I always liken Mike Ashley to people used to say to me, what's his deal? And people who were not football fans. And he used to say, basically, he buys a house, a 2-up-2, like Homes Under the Hammer. He'll buy a house for 40 grand. He'll put a lick of paint on it and a new drain pipe and a new front door, because he wants to turn over 42 grand. So no interest in the house, no interest in the people who are living in it. He just needs to turn 2 grand over. But it's like an obsession. He's got no interest in Derby, in Newcastle, in any of these areas. He's a Cockney, for Christ's sake. Got no interest in them. So where is his kind of motivation? It's purely just to turn a book. The guy's worth billions. How many books do you need to turn before you think, do you know what? I'm 50 odd now. I'm 60. When am I going to give up?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? What's his motivation? It's just, it becomes almost Putin-like, as in the sense of it's just egotistical shite.
Yeah. It's a good point, isn't it? I remember towards the end of the Ashley era, Pablo saying, like, you feel like sitting him down, don't you, in like a room, and just saying to him, listen, you don't know what you've got. And I think Keegan said that. They were the words he used. You don't know what you've got. And all it would take to get the fans back on side is to just show the club a bit of TLC, put a bit of money into the club, try and move the club forward, speak to the fans, tell them what your ideas are, tell them what you want to do. And this could have been him now. this could have been him right now if he'd bothered to put some money in, bothered to put a bit of due diligence in, and actually try and move the club a little bit forward. Everybody knew he wasn't going to go and do an Abramovich or, like the Qatari owners at City. He wasn't going to do anything like that. But even if it just goes to show, if you invest a little bit of money, speculate to accumulate, and that's all he needed to do, and he was just unwilling to do that. The 2005 season told us that, didn't it? When was it 2005? I think it was. When we finished 5th.
Was it 5th? Was it Pardew?
Yeah, and we had the chance to kick on, and all we signed was Vernanita. That's all we did.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. So it basically showed you that on the shoestring, just with a little bit here and there, you could have done it, and then the next season, you're right, it fell flat. And there was no word, no nothing, no investment, no nothing. And for a club that's this big to have no investment, we're all not stupid. We all realise that your clubs like Chelsea and Man City are funded by countries, etc. We never wanted that. We never wanted that as Newcastle fans. All we wanted was for us to give it a decent go.
Yeah.
That was it. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that's it. I'll leave you to it, boys. I just wanted to come on and say hello, and we'll I've no doubt I'll jump on at some point if you're in the chat.
Please do, Pablo. Absolutely fantastic guest. Great to have you on, mate. Love to chat to you more in the weeks coming forward. So please feel free to come and join us, mate.
We'll see you soon. Cheers, boys.
Thank you, Pablo. Take care, mate. All the best.
Bye-bye.
Great to have Pablo on.
Yeah, great guy.
Always good to see new faces, isn't it? It really is. As much as we enjoy our more regular faces, it is nice, to get the views of brand new people, and obviously to meet new people. It's always nice, isn't it?
Definitely, 100%. Great stuff.
Like Pete, I am very conscious of time here. So what I'm going to do is, because I've promised it, I'm going to whiz through some of the questions and comments, and all I'm going to say to you is, just try and give like a brief answer if you can, because I am very conscious of time. You're like me, Pete. I always say that, and I'll still be on in 3 hours going, yeah, well, what it is, you're exactly like me, mate, cut from the same cloth. But what I'll do is I'll whiz through these comments. I'll just bring them up on screen. These are ones that we've starred. And yeah, what we'll have to do next time, we'll have to try and allocate a bit more time for them, because I know the viewers come up with some fantastic questions, and we want to try and get through them all. Okay, so Geordie Tomb for Life. Hello, Pete and Chris. I've just watched a bit of the Tomb Review and Alex the Statman slates Kraft on stats. And I watched the game live and Kraft did his job. Sick of people always having a go. Now listen, Geordie Tomb for Life. As Pete said before, we don't want to get into like a YouTube war or Twitter war or anything like that. I mean, everyone has their own opinions. This one's probably best for Pete to answer anyway, because obviously, as I say, I didn't watch the full game. I mean, I think we all agree Emil Kraft, I don't think he's got a long-term future at the club. When I say long-term, I'm talking 18 months, 2 years. But Pete, what did you think of Emil Kraft's performance at the weekend?
Compared to what he was against West Ham, where he was like a nervous wreck for certainly the first 45, 50, 55 minutes, I thought it was a more solid performance from him. Arguably, you could argue that he was playing against 10 men, but I just thought he looked more confident in his role. And like you've just said, look, we can say he's rubbish, we can say he's getting better, but ultimately you are absolutely right in that he hasn't got a long-term future at Newcastle. But what we had is we had our third choice right back come in and do a job for us that got us a clean sheet in a game that we needed to win. I can't argue with that. I'm not in a position to kind of pinpoint on individual mistakes and things and stats. That's not me. I'm looking at a performance. I'm looking at, did he make any catastrophic mistakes? No. Did he look solid at times in the game? Yes. Did he hold possession well? Yes. Did he get a clean sheet? He did. And that's all that matters to me, because I know as a third choice right back, he is not going to be the future of Newcastle United. No. And look, Manquillo could quite well come back in against Brighton, and everyone will be happy again, and that's all that matters. So, look, I'm not going to slate the guy. As I've said, we can say that someone plays crap or someone plays great. In my opinion, regardless of what I feel about the player, is an individual player. When they step on the pitch, they get 110% support from me, because they are representing our club, and that's all that matters, really.
Yeah, And as long as you see the effort, Pete, you know, if he was lazing around the pitch and, you know, he wasn't trying visibly, you know, you may want to call him out, but by all accounts, it sounds like he really grafted.
Yeah, he's never been that. He's never shirked his responsibilities. He's always given 100%, 10% effort, but you know his quality at times just hasn't shown through. But I don't think he had a bad game. He got a clean sheet. He looked solid. They didn't get really that much joy down his side of the pitch. So that says he did his job. So
Job done.
It is what it is.
Yeah. Now this one, Pete, this is a very broad one, and this is from Gary. So you're probably going to have to come up with someone off the top of your head if you haven't already thought about it. But Gary Milliken asks, Howe, because of Pete, which player in the Premier League would you want to sign in the next window? I think we've already answered this in previous weeks, but has that opinion changed, Pete? Is there someone you've got your eye on?
That's a tough question.
It is.
It's a tough question because
we always used to say Calvin Phillips, didn't we? We always used to say Calvin Phillips or Rafinha, but I don't know whether that opinion's changed.
Yeah, I'd probably go with Rafinha, to be honest. I'd probably go with Rafinha, that right-sided winger, to add some kind of competition to the wingers in our team at the moment. I'd probably go with him. Look, I really like Calvin Phillips, but the problem that I have with him is that he's had so many injuries over the last 2 years. He hasn't had a proper run because he's not been fit. That's a big question mark for me of a lad so young that's had so many injury problems, and they're not 1-2 week injury problems. They're 3-4 month injury problems, and if he's getting them now in this part of his career, I worry about it long term. But I hope he has a clean bill of health and he gets fit and he plays regular, because he showed for England in the summer that he is a top quality player. The other player I'd go for is what Alan Thompson just put in the chat right there, and that is Conor Gallagher. Conor Gallagher is a terrific
great shout.
player.
It's a great shout.
And you know, our loaded boys, the likes of yourself, Mark, love Conor Gallagher and has done for a long time. I think Daz as well, I'll throw in there. So, you know, he's a player and he's a player that we didn't get to talk about, that if Chelsea had to get rid of some players, you talked about Ziyech, which is a great shout, but also someone that's not Chelsea, but is a Chelsea player, is Conor Gallagher.
Yeah, it's a great shout. Yeah. I think like you, I'd probably say Rafinha, because I think he looks visibly unhappy. I don't think he's going to be there in the summer, and I do still think that right side of midfield up top, you know, in the wing position. I think, you know, if we got someone like him, I just picture having Rafinha on one wing, Saint-Maximin on another wing, and a top striker in the middle. It'd just be unbelievable. But yeah, Conor Gallagher, it's a great shout.
Ryan Fraser as well. Don't forget about him.
Yeah. And again, you know, having these options, it's great. It's absolutely great. Northumberland Geordie says, what's everyone's thoughts about the summer? It's looking to me like we don't have to go and spend a fortune. If this team had started the season like we're playing now, we'd be in a good position. And I absolutely echo that. I mean, if Eddie Howe had been brought in sooner, we may not be in the position we're in now. But yeah, what's your thoughts, Pete, on in terms of the summer? I mean, do you look at things differently now to how you did maybe, I don't know, around September, October time? Do you look at the team now and think, you know what, he could stick around, he could still do a job for us? Has your opinion changed on many players?
Yeah, definitely. Having Shaw for one. I think he's got a future at Newcastle, providing we get that deal done. Other players, Joe Linton, yeah, great shout. Joe Willock. I think me and you had a conversation way back when, and we were thinking under the new ownership and a good summer, Joe Willock might struggle to get back in the team.
Yeah,
the way he's playing right now, I don't think he really has a future. Ryan Fraser's another one. You know, we want someone to come in on that, maybe that right hand side. Rafinha we talked about, but the way Ryan Fraser's playing at the moment, he'll be pushing and chomping at the bit to try and keep any winger that comes in out of the team. You know, you've got Ismail Assar, for example, who might go down with Watford. That might be a good signing. Ismail Assar, he's another one. So, you know, you've got options there. You've got players there. They're probably the ones, the likes of Joe Linton, Willock, Ryan Fraser, Fabian Shaw. They're the ones that have kind of made me
turned it round.
they've got a place in this team. But definitely,
yeah, absolutely. Dan Smirnoff said earlier on, Botman will come to Newcastle. Dan, I hope you're right. Certainly from the statement that Botman released shortly after the transfer window, it still sounds to me like, he's not ruling out AC Milan, because he'd be stupid to do that if the Newcastle move doesn't materialise. But to me, it definitely sounded like, his eyes were firmly on Newcastle, which is all good for us. Mad Mag Mark. Question for Pete and Chris. How did you assess Staveley and Guendouzi's interview with The Athletic? Were you happy about reading Mirdad's comments about SJP and its possible expansion plan in the future?
I thought it was.
We need to do a bloody separate show on this, don't we? Because there was that much great content that come out from it.
Well, we may well be.
We may well be. Keep an eye on Loaded. That's all we'll say.
There'll be some surprises possibly coming out tomorrow morning. So keep your eyes peeled on the Loaded Twitter feed. But look, I thought it was an outstanding interview, a fantastic interview, fantastically written by George Culkin as part of the athletic team for Newcastle. Comments about St James's Park. Yeah, I don't want to move.
No.
I don't want to move. I love St James's Park. It's that cathedral on the hill, as people keep mentioning. If we can go and improve St James's Park and improve the capacity of St James's Park, and Mirdad Guendouzi talked about 60 to 65,000. That puts us in that top tier of Premier League stadiums in this country. If we can go and do that and improve all the areas around it, the fan areas where the food and stuff is that Pablo talked about that has been left derelict for so many years under Ashley, if we can go and improve all of those areas of St James's Park, sprouse it up and make it look nice and keep that soul that Mirdad talked about, the soul of the club and of the stadium intact, being right directly in the city, right in perfect kind of location for the fans. Why not stay at St James's Park?
Yeah.
Love the stadium, love it. And you know what? We as Newcastle fans don't just love it. Every fan that comes, every opposition fan that comes to St James's Park, they love the stadium. They love where it's situated. They love the history and the feel behind coming to St James's Park. So if we can preserve that, why not stay? Why not?
Yeah, no, I agree. Absolutely. Nobody wants to move from St James's. If somebody offered me an 80,000 seater stadium that resembled the Tottenham Stadium, I wouldn't turn my nose up at it. But if you gave me an option now and said, would you rather build on St James's or move to a new one? I would. I'd rather stay at St James's. I absolutely would. It's all I've ever known all my life, and I'd love to keep it that way. So Andrew D. Bygate, what flavour vape? Yeah, Andrew, it's the Arctic Cherry. And is it 7 unbeaten or the richest club in the world? Wonder what he means by that.
7 unbeaten or the richest
both,
club in the world? Isn't it both? Yeah.
It's both, Andrew. It's both. And we love it.
7 unbeaten and the richest club in the world.
It's fantastic. Lisa Mole. So Fraser's interview with Match of the Day said it all. He said it would take him 2 weeks to list all the improvements since Howe took over. Yeah. I remember sending you a link, Pete, to the Fraser interview. Not this one. It was the one a couple of weeks ago. And he spoke as enthusiastically as he did at the weekend. Like, you can tell he's just absolutely loving it under Eddie Howe. And, long may that continue.
He's had a few interviews now. And the first initial one, he was kind of like very sort of, withdrawn in terms of saying too much about the previous regime and how it differs to now. The interview that you sent me, he was coming out a little bit more and being a little bit more open. This one,
he just went boom.
Yeah, he's basically saying he just transformed everything and everything's better. And he wasn't just saying it from his own perspective. He was saying all the players love it as well. So he's basically saying all the players thought Bruce was shit and his policies and procedures were shit in the previous regime, and now it's better. And you know what? He's absolutely right.
Yeah, 1,000,000%.
That's just the reality. But what it shows you is that you know, he is happy at Newcastle. He's loving his football. He's loving the new direction and philosophy. And what he's also saying is that the other players are loving it too. You know, you listen to Callum Wilson on his podcast, and he talks so positively about Newcastle and the way it is now. You know, he probably does it a little bit more diplomatically in terms of the way he talks about the changes, but you can tell how happy he is. Joe Willock, if anyone's seen Joe Willock's interview with NUFC after the game, he talks so positively about Eddie Howe. And how he basically says at one point that he just thinks he's such a great guy, and he loves working with Eddie Howe, and like he's just so open and honest about it. And that's a guy that's enjoying his football right now. Yeah, he's enjoying his football. He's loving the club that he's playing for, and it's just great to hear.
Yeah, no, couldn't agree more, mate. Talking about, well, this is a comment from Yano. So Yano, this was when I said that everyone's levels had gone up since Eddie Howe had come in. I couldn't think of anyone who's kind of gone worse. So Yano says, sorry, Chris, you were wrong. Not everyone's level has gone up. Miggy, Murphy, Lascelles have not gone up. They've regressed. Now, just to try and put it into context for where I'm at, Yano, and I absolutely, we absolutely love you, Yano. But for me, I would argue that Lascelles, I think he has improved since Eddie Howe's come in. Miggy and Murphy, yeah, I do take your point, but I don't necessarily think that's down to Eddie Howe. I just think unfortunately, it might just be down to maybe a lack of ability on the player side. There's only so much Eddie Howe can do. And don't forget as well, Murphy, not so much because he's played quite a lot recently, but Miggy, I don't think Miggy's been given the opportunity to kind of improve himself. Well, he hasn't been given the opportunity to improve himself. I mean, he hasn't been given the opportunity to show that he's improved. I don't think he's had many minutes on the pitch, but that's just because the players who've been playing have been absolutely fantastic. I mean, Pete, what's your thoughts on that? I mean, would you agree with Yano on that, or do you think that that you could argue maybe Lascelles has improved, or maybe Murphy has improved? What would be your thoughts on that?
I would agree with you from a Lascelles point of view. I think Lascelles has got better. He's got more confident as a defender. We saw in the game, sort of other than the own goal, the game against Everton, he's looked more solid as a defender.
He's still not good enough, and we'll absolutely agree with that. Yeah,
but that's the thing. Like he's improved, but Byrne and Shaw is above him.
Yeah,
that's it. Like he's improved as a player, but Byrne and Shaw are just better than him. That's just the reality. They're just a better player than him. I go back to the point that I make about Jamal Lascelles. Jamal Lascelles is not a footballer. He's an athlete. He's not good on the board. Tactically, he's not as aware and as astute as the likes of Byrne and Shaw. And that makes the difference. That makes you an overall better footballer. And those two are just better footballers. I would agree with Yano with regards to Miggy. I think Miggy has gone stale, but I would also agree with the point that you've made is that he's not had as many opportunities to play in an Eddie Howe team. But that's down to the fact that other players have taken their chance, and that's just how football is. Those players have taken their chance. Ryan Fraser has taken the opportunity to kind of show his ability, whereas under Bruce, Miggy probably would have played more. But technically and quality wise, Ryan Fraser offers more. Miggy's a bigger and better runner. He stretches teams the other way. He causes problems in different ways. But Ryan Fraser, he's got better delivery. He's better in front of goal. He's got he's got a more complete work rate. So he works hard. Miggy works hard. Trust me. Like he covers every blade of grass. But he's more competitive with his work rate in Ryan Fraser. That he'll recover balls, he'll close people down. He's not afraid to get stuck in. He's not afraid to put his body in positions. You think about the foul that Ronaldo gave him in the Man U game at St James's Park. Like, Ryan Fraser comes off beaten and battered every game because he puts his body on the line. That's the one thing that Miggy Almiron doesn't do. So I would agree with that point, is that Miggy stayed there. I think even Murphy's improved. I think Murphy's improved tactically as a player. He understands tactically, and I think Saturday was an example of that. I think tactically, I thought he was very good. He didn't really do much on the ball, but I thought tactically he held his position well. He did what he needed to do. But again, there are better players there in front of him. Alan Saint-Maximin, for me, when 100% fit, comes straight back into the team.
Yeah, 1,000,000%. 1,000,000%. Nice comment here from David Cook, who says, to watch Pete and Chris, Leicester and Scouser speak about our club so passionately makes me so proud. Thanks, guys. Really nice of you to say that, David. We are united. Absolutely. So Tim C, Willock knows he has to be 100% every game, as he knows Bruno's ready to step in, and that's a point that we've reiterated, isn't it? And it's so true. These players know now that there's players chomping at the bit to get in this 11, so they've got to be on top of their game. And I think nobody epitomises that more for me than John Joe Shelvey, because John Joe Shelvey, since the house come in, has literally just been a different player. Like now. He's not so long ago signed a new contract, and he's been talks of a new contract, and I think the vast majority of the fan base would say, yeah, give him a new contract, because he's been outstanding, and improving his fitness. It's shown that John Joe Shelvey is more than capable of being a Premier League player, and he's showing that week in, week out, which we're all absolutely delighted to see. Geordie Tune for life. My thoughts are the first person to criticise Newcastle tonight gets kicked off the show tonight. Just look at the positive points. Do you know what, Geordie Tune for life? You might. Well, I won't say you're right, because we don't want to kick anyone off. But your sentiment is absolutely right. We need to enjoy the good times, and at the moment there is no bad times. So we just need to kind of stay positive, because there's no reason to be negative.
Look, we always appreciate everyone's points of view. I think there was a couple when I had my little rant about ASM in the comments over the last few weeks about ASM. There was one or two in the chat, guys that we know. I think Andy was one of them that didn't necessarily agree, and that's absolutely fine. These shows are about opinions. Me and Chris, although we love working together and we enjoy doing our shows together, we're just two fans. And we're very clear on that. We're just two Newcastle fans that just love talking about football, and the game's based on opinions. But you're right. You want to hear about positivity. We've had so much negativity over the last 14 years.
Yeah.
We've got new owners. We've got a competent manager. We've got players that are playing out of their skin for the love of the club. I don't see the need to be negative. 7 unbeaten, possibly 8 going into Saturday. I don't see the need to be negative. But at the same time, everyone's got an opinion. It is what it is. We're all just fans at the end of the day, and we all love the club exactly the same. So
yeah, exactly right. And Julie Baker sums that up. All opinions are valid. Be positive or less so. Yeah, absolutely. Sir Monkey Suit, do you know those people who act like they hate you but they love you really? I think Paul Mason is head over heels. I think you threw that up before, actually, didn't you, Pete? Yeah, it's absolutely right. Sir Monkey Suit also said, did you see that Sunderland fan that lured a Newcastle fan 5 or 6 hours for a ticket? The state of them. Yeah. Do you know what? We didn't even talk about that tonight, did we, Pete? But it just goes to show. I mean, but again, I don't want to start getting on Sunderland's backs, because let's be honest, every club has fans that are capable of doing that. I'm sure that there's some fans in our fan base that would do that, and I wouldn't condone anyone doing that to somebody. Do you know what I mean? It's just not a nice thing to do. If that's how they get their kicks, then wow, if you haven't got anything better to do than that, that's quite incredible. But what were your thoughts on that, Pete?
Yeah, I just thought it was a disgrace. I don't see any Newcastle fan that would do that to a Sunderland fan. And certainly to the point where you make them travel 6 hours, 5-6 hours for a ticket. I just think with everything that's going on with the economy at the moment, and things are about to get worse, the last thing that anyone really should be doing is making people pay out like obscene amounts of money for no reason. I don't think it's fair. And I tell you what, if a Newcastle fan had done it to a Sunderland fan, they would be kicking off exactly the same.
Yeah.
So,
and I think our fan base would turn on that person who done it and say that's out of order. That.
And that's the difference, is that what it seems to be, and I can only talk from what I see and who I follow on social media, because it is only a small kind of section of Newcastle fans, but there would be, you were absolutely right, there would be uproar, and there would be, people holding them to account to say, hold on, that's not what we do, that's not acceptable. And there would be Newcastle fans, like you've said, that would do that. But ultimately, I don't think any Newcastle fan would, and I don't condone anyone looking to get payback in any way, shape, or form that I'd heard. We're better than that. We're better than that. And if that's what they do to make themselves feel better about their club and their situation, let them get on with it. But look, I'm only interested in what happens with Newcastle United. I'm not interested in, regardless of them being our rivals or not, I'm not really interested in anything to do with Sunderland. I really couldn't care less. I'm only focused on our club and what we're doing to build a better future for us.
Yeah, exactly.
No way. It's not possible, sure.
No, Pete. That was going to be my closing thing. I was going to bring it up on the chat. Yeah, it's 1-0. I was going to bring it up on the chat. Is the stats? So West Brom are at home. West Brom are at home against 17th place Swansea, and the stats as they stand are Swansea have had 2 shots on target, 5 shots off target, 61% possession. 61% possession at West Bromwich Albion. And yeah, West Bromwich Albion have had 1 shot on target, and up to when I last looked, they hadn't had any shots on target, but they've had 1 shot on target, 4 shots off target, and yeah, 39% possession. And now 1-0 down. 1-0 down.
Mate,
look, the 12th in the league. And you look over, they were 5th.
Hey, all I want to know is now is where's Gabriel Bonhor? Where's Danny Murphy? Yeah. Where are all these guys that was saying Bruce is the best thing since sliced bread? Where's Mikel Arteta that was saying he's been one of the best things that's happened in the last decade
Premier League?
in the Premier League in Premier League history as a manager? Where are these guys?
Mate.
Where's Gary Lineker? Where's all the rest of them that bigged up Steve Bruce? What's this coming from? Where's Luke Edwards? Where's he at? You know,
it's just so bad. It's just so bad. It really is. Do you know what? Sometimes silence is better than saying anything. Like that. You just look at the league position and you just look at the run of form he's been on. No words necessary. It's remarkable. Whoever is in charge at West Brom needs to have a serious look in the mirror and think to themselves, why have we appointed this man? Why? All the warning signs were there. They were all there. Well, good luck, West Brom fans.
Simon Jordan, another one.
Yeah,
was another one that was bigging him up. Now he's took West Brom that were comfortably in
the playoffs.
Well out of the playoffs, in a position where they're nowhere near getting a playoffs space.
He could get sacked before the end of the season. The way it's going,
this could turn into a Watford situation. Claudio Ranieri all over again. This situation here. He is an absolute clown. But you know what? Alex Bruce can't fight his corner because you know what? He's in the dugout with him.
Yeah, he's in the dugout with him.
Love it.
Oh, mate, it's terrible, Willie. Just to update you, 18 points off the drop zone. Could the unthinkable happen? They're only halfway through the season.
Could
oh no, they're not. Sorry, no, they're not. They've got 14 games left. It's probably too late. But even they shouldn't even be finishing in the bottom 10, 12. But they will, the way they're going. It's disgraceful. Really is. Really is. David Cook made a really good comment, and I started this. Gary Neville made a really positive rant about Newcastle. And yeah, David, I think someone said earlier that he was one of the best commentators out there, one of the best pundits out there, and I completely agree. I think him and Carragher are fantastic. I love the Monday Night Football. I think it's absolutely spot on. Quick one for you, Pete. Simon Natras asks, how many points for survival, in your opinion?
I was doing this earlier on in the show. I think it was when Big Tone was
on. Okay. Was you saying 33?
3 wins, 3 draws.
3 wins, you say 33?
No, yeah, 3 wins, 3 draws. I said to, I can't remember, I said it to her, 35 points I think will be enough to keep us in the league this season. But 30, 38 will guarantee it.
Yeah, it's more
3 wins, 3 draws. Will keep us in the league this season. Could well be 2 wins, 3 draws if we win on Saturday. I don't see Watford, Norwich, and potentially Brentford, Burnley, Leeds. And any one of them getting 35, 38 points. I just don't see it. So,
No, I
yeah,
agree.
3 wins, 3 draws, takes us to 38 points. Yeah.
It's done. It's done. Interesting one from John Mitchinson. Even in all, a general football question: do you agree a law should be brought in when teams waste time in the corner flag area? It's frustrating for fans and players, no matter who you suspect. Interesting one. If it's against us, John, I'm pretty frustrated. If we're doing it, I love a bit of shithousery. I'm not gonna lie.
And you know what? We haven't even really done it.
We haven't had to. We haven't had to.
Yeah, I think there's been a couple of times where I think against Villa, against West Ham, where we could have done it and we didn't. But I just think we haven't needed to, because I think we just keep the ball really well at the moment. We're just really good at keeping possession, so we just keep the ball ticking over, keep it in their corners, keep them kind of cramped in. It is frustrating if you're the opposition side.
Yeah.
Oh, it's 2. It's 2-0.
No.
Oh, you fighter. Oh, you fighter.
Oh,
wow. Unbelievable. Sorry.
It's just... Yeah, 2-0. I can't believe it. It's just, he's just unbelievable, isn't he? Unbelievable.
But yeah, no to the corner flags unless it says doing it.
Yeah. If we can do it, it's fine. Quick one. If we buy Botman, would he start on the bench?
No chance.
No, I agree. I think, he starts. I think we find Dan Burn on the bench, unfortunately. Even though he's been absolutely fantastic, but yeah, I think Botman comes straight in. Really interesting one from Foxy. I think we're getting very carried away with our performance. It was good, but there's 10 men for 80 minutes. We should be dominating. Really, just need to keep the consistency and discipline into the Brighton game. And I think that's a really fair point. It's very easy to get ahead of ourselves. Again, Foxy, I didn't see the game, but I was just made up that we got the 3 points. But no, I totally take your point that we kind of need to keep our feet on the ground. And the most pleasing thing is Eddie Howe is constantly coming out with that narrative. He's saying, listen, it's not done yet. We need to keep our focus, and attention now turns to the next game.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that we, years gone by, or even earlier on in the season, we wouldn't have been able to keep possession and play the way we did to be able to get that result. We would have allowed at some point Brentford to come back in. 1, because we weren't fit enough, and 2, because we weren't competent enough on the ball. So although, yes, it was against 10 men for 80 minutes, the way we controlled the game and the way we saw the game out, particularly in the second half, we could have gone up gung-ho and attacked. We didn't. What we did is we just kind of packed out that midfield, packed out that middle area. When they brought Christian Eriksen on, we packed out the area. We stopped getting him time and space on the ball. And we made it difficult for them, and we just kind of frustrated them to see the game out. That's what game management's all about.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's that word, isn't it? Game management. I know people sometimes overuse it, but that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Andrew Bygate says we will go the rest of the season unbeaten. Kind of flows on nicely from that last comment. I hope you're right. I don't believe we will, but I do think what we've got 13 games left. I do think we've got at least 3 wins left in us, if not more. So I do think we will comfortably stay up. But yeah, I'd be majorly surprised if we did go unbeaten, Andrew, and let's hope we do. But what are your thoughts on that, Pete?
Yeah, no, we won't go unbeaten the whole season. The run will kind of drop at some point, but look, let's try and keep that run as long as possible. Let's make sure we're picking up good points against teams that we should be beating, or certainly getting points against, the likes of Brentford. We've got those points, the likes of Brighton. Let's see if we can get points from that, and then we look ahead. Chelsea's going to be a difficult game, but can we get, in the meantime, a point or 3 against Everton? Can we get a point or 3 against Southampton? Those 2 games that have been rearranged. Can we get points there? Getting a point at Everton wouldn't be the worst thing, because it keeps them down there. It keeps us you know, in a position where we're getting a point moving forward. It stops them catching any ground on us. You know, can we get 3 points on Brighton to keep that distance there? Because if we get 3 points at Brighton, you know, other teams below us have got to think, right, you know, we have to win in order to keep touch with them. You know, we just keep stretching that gap, picking up points against Southampton. Not many teams have got points against them recently. They're doing well. We've got Palace coming up, Wolves coming up at home. They're games that we should be picking up points against. Wolves are playing well, but Wolves don't travel well to us. Crystal Palace, no reason why we can't beat them. You know, we've got games coming up. Leicester at home in April. You know, can we pick up points against them? We've got games where we can pick up points. We're not going to win every game. We've got Man City to play, Liverpool to play, Chelsea to play. You know, tough games, but I think there's enough in the tank to get enough points. But what are your thoughts about for example, the next two, which is Brighton and Southampton? What do you think Chris, the points tally could be in those two games? What are you going for?
I say 4 points. I think we beat Brighton. I really do. I think we break that duck. I think we beat Brighton, and I'd take a point against Southampton. Southampton, like us, are one of the informed teams at the moment. Like Ralph Hasenhüttl's really got them playing some good football, and they've got some really good players. So for us to get a point against Southampton, I'd take that all day long. But I think we beat Brighton at home. I really do. I'm very, very confident for this weekend. I think we beat them. And 4 points. Take that.
Oh, 100%. 100% take that all day.
Take that. Be interesting to see how Howe lines up against Graham Potter, because as we know, Graham Potter is, you know, a young upcoming manager, and who likes to play good football. So if we've came up against Graham Potter in the past under Bruce, and he's absolutely schooled us, absolutely played us off the park when we've been expected to win, by the way. So it'll be interesting to see how we perform this weekend. And if we play them off the park, it shows the strides we've made, because Brighton in recent years have been a very, very, very difficult team to play against, because Graham Potter's always had the better of us.
No, I think that's a fair point. I've just had a message from Daryl, which is part of our Geordies down south lads, and he's put a message to me, and he said, we're on a roll now. I think we'll beat Brighton and Southampton. So he's looking. Daryl's looking. Oh, he's in the chat as well. Actually, he's just come on. With actually a great point.
So we need that.
So Daryl reckons that we're going to beat Brighton and Southampton. Hey, Daryl, I'll take that all day long. And you know what? You're absolutely right. And we've not talked about this enough. Is that Howe should be manager of the month? There should be no other choice.
No brainer.
Manager of the month. No brainer.
No brainer. I mean, we're second in the form league, only behind Liverpool, who've played 6, won 6, and we've played 5, drawn 1. And if you compare the two squads, there's no comparison. Eddie Howe, he's got no right to be a second in the form league in this league. No right at all. And the fact that he's done that in the predicament we're in a very difficult January transfer window, when we've brought in new players, he's had to integrate them. We've lost Callum Wilson, we've lost Alan Saint-Maximin, we've lost Kieran Trippier, and we're still grinding results out. It's the most easiest decision ever for him to win manager of the month. Easiest. And I tell you what, Pete, if we end up finishing mid-table, could you argue he'd be manager of the year?
Well,
could you argue it?
I was thinking about this yesterday and today, and I was, there's an argument that he should be in the conversation. He should be in the conversation. If we stay up comfortably and we finish sort of like, 12th, 11th in the table, which is still a possibility, he should be in the conversation. From where we were, with the squad we had, with the situation that we're in, right? People can throw about that we spent £90 million, but actually, Kieran Trippier, Alan Saint-Maximin, Callum Wilson have been out recently during our most important spell, and we've still picked up results on the back of that. he's changed the philosophy, the style, the way in which this team's looked. He's rejuvenated this team that looked like they were certain for relegation. That deserves a massive amount of respect. Whether he wins it or not is another thing, and I don't think he would. But yeah, if we finish with a really good points total and a decent position, I think he should be within the conversation. That's for sure.
Yeah. Right. Well, we've had a couple of other questions, Pete, but I'm going to leave it there because it kind of wraps us up nicely. And yeah, apologies if we've not had time to come to your comment, but obviously we're very conscious the show's well overrun tonight. But it's been absolutely fantastic. Really enjoyed speaking to everyone. Fantastic guests, fantastic comments in the chat. So thank you very much to everyone for tuning in. Pete, do you want to say your last few words?
No, absolute pleasure. Love Monday nights, chatting with you, Chris. The people in the chat, all the regulars and some new people in there that I've not seen before. Great comments. The likes of, Daryl's joined us. You've got Tom in the chat, Tom Dixon, massive support, Tom, for Loaded and NUFC Matters. Like Yano, Andrew, Jeff, who was on the show, Paul Gallant, who's always a big supporter of any podcast, always sharing, always putting it out there, the content. Massive support. I could go through all day. Brian, Gary, Mark. I'm going to stop there, but I could say so many. We really appreciate it, and it's your comments and your opinions in the chat that help create this show.
Drives the show, doesn't it? Drives it.
Really does.
It really does.
100%.
Yeah.
And Bruce has just lost yet another game.
God. When's he going to get his first win? When?
Hopefully not.
But listen, thank you so much, everyone, for watching. It's been a pleasure, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Critics attack. It feels like I've been talking to myself again. But it's